bro. Oh, sure. Off. Gamer subs.
Yourself.
I'm actually disabled. Every time I fart, I smell shit. What the f was that on her Twitter? What the f? Mods ban Mantis for 24 hours.
Ew!
Looks pretty decent.
What the fuck are you eating, you fatty?
Oh,
Dirty boy.
Are you and?
Yes, I am first.
Shut the
You all
f
shall
up.
bow before my greatness.
Yourself.
I'm gonna suck your James. What the actual sucky suck is?
What is that llama?
Can you please moan again,
I'm
please?
spending it on.
And Ohio skibbity riz.
Pussy tight, pussy clean, pussy fresh.
My soundboard. I'll be my soundboard.
Tight,
Now.
pussy tight, pussy clean, pussy fresh. Pussy fresh.
Yeah.
One time saw a penis and I enjoyed it.
That is the most truest thing you've ever said.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good night, bro.
Okay, what the fuck was that? Just shit yourself.
I wanna see the very slaves like no one ever earned.
What the fuck was that?
What are you doing knockoff exactly?
Pussy!
Holy fuck, Stewie, I'm shitting.
I prefer not to watch streamers who shit their pants.
Gonna need a sensu for that one.
Sung Wong Chong Ching Wong Wong Jong Jung.
Shut up.
I needed to pee for so long.
Then pee. Do it right now in my mouth.
Virus found. 10,000 porn videos found on user's computer. FBI will now investigate your computer. Virus found. Virus found.
Monkey boy peasant, get up and clean my chimney so you can get her weekly ration of bread.
What the fuck? Who did that?
Curious.
Hey chat, you reckon I should just drink that entire thing and just end my life? Hit 1 for yes. Oh, so cute. Aw, what a dumb piece of shit.
I'm jaking it.
Hey, how's your day today? Oh, oh, that was sick. That was awesome. Holy shit.
Just up the road from Clan by the Push Winger to go get a few weapons.
Is he racist? That's awesome. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're fucking dead. You're so dead. It's so weird. The way he does that. I'm not gonna get first one. I love cock. Cock and badge. Why, James? Why? Oh, lovely. Ah! What'd you fucking say?
I'm having a hard time getting it in.
It's fine. I mean, this is your first time, isn't it?
See your autism struggling every time that comes up.
Yeah, I hate it. It fucking sucks. It looks fucking stupid.
Donkey Kong's vagina.
Racism.
He's Woolworths the fresh fruit autistic.
Okay, that was kind of funny. Oh. Hi, boys. How you going? How are we? Hey, Junkrat, how are you, man? How you going, bro? Saw you on Franz's stream before. Hope you had a good time on Minecraft. Hey, Knives, how are you, man? Yeah, I think I did go off Dark Ages, yeah. Yeah, you were in this room. Yeah, you were. How are you, Curbs? Yeah, I changed my thing already. It's all good, bro. I appreciate, bro. Got slapped in the face for the with content restricted? Really? Because what? Oh, the only reason why I did that was because I was advertising my code for my mate's website. Yeah, if you go onto that website and type in code hookers, you'll get 15% off. I can't be advertising this as I come back. It's been a while. How's everyone been going today? How's everyone been going? Hopefully this sound is okay. I hope this is okay. Never mind, it's working now. Oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Hope we're doing well today, everybody, whoever is here. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. Honestly, it's been a hot minute. It feels weird being back here. It feels weird streaming normally. The last time I was streaming, everybody was around here. Oh, Mantis, we're playing Doom, the Dark Ages, Blaze Mage and I, last week on Monday night. We're streaming it on Monday night. No, Sunday night. And man, it ran terribly. It was awful. I don't know what happened. It was just not nice at all. It was wild. It was, I don't know. I want to play Doom after the Dark Ages. I really do. But I might have to play it on console or something like that. Because the PC, it does not run that well. It does not run it well at all. But yeah. Hope everyone's having a great day today, everybody. I honestly, whoever is here, thank you very much for being here. Alright, what we're doing tonight is we're just hanging out, having a good time, chilling, playing some Overwatch, like usual Overwatch, but we'll also be discussing of what I'm going to be doing with Big Audio Worm in a couple of weeks. That's right, in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be in Melbourne, seeing the big man himself, the Big Audio Worm. Whoever's mod, can I please get a shout to Big Audio Worm, please? In case nobody is following him, please. I'm greatly appreciate it. So what we'll be doing so we'll discuss what we're going to be doing. Because I feel like Worm should be prioritizing what he wants to do with his other life. Because I think it's like, it's that. Thank you, Mantis. Just copy and paste it, Zom. Yeah, Big Audio Worm. Yeah, sorry, Mantis. Yeah, Zom's like the only mod here. But yes, once again, yeah, right there, yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you, Zom. But once again, I do have a code for Astral Runic, and it's called Hookers. I actually do have a code.
No, you don't trust the oven timer, especially an oven you don't fucking know, Hook. Alright?
What's he doing?
That's what I'm saying. Hook, alright, I want to play you something, man. I want to play you something down the phone. down the whatever the fuck you call it.
What is he doing?
Right? This is my alarm, right?
What is he doing? What is this clip?
Now, how long do you think this shit would go off for? Right before I go, fuck it, I gotta do something about this. Let's let it run for 30 seconds.
It's he just keeps on with the alarm. That's crazy.
I'm not done, Hook.
Oh, I was there. What?
Right, 'cause it's getting louder.
What? Hey, did you guys hear that? You mentioned my name. I think I was in the stream.
Right, that's 30 seconds, man. We started that at 1. That's 30 seconds. How long do you think you would have put up with it for before you went and did something about it?
Oh god. That's wild. That's funny. That's funny as hell. Also, yo, Donawall, how are you, Vinyl? Oh my god, Vinyl, how are we, bro? Oh, I recognize that little character. That's sick. How are you, Vinyl? I got a haircut. Oh, my haircut. Get myself ready for my job tomorrow. Long time no see, Vinyl. Honestly, dude, what's been happening? Thanks, man. Yeah, I got a new job tomorrow coming up. Where's the buzz? I didn't get a buzz. I'm sorry. I really want to change the WizBot. The WizBot sucks. Hey, Chels. How are you, man? How are we? All right. I think we got some people here. I think we should start thinking about playing some Overwatch or hanging out. So, all right. Setting up now. Setting up. Been exhausted? Sorry to hear that, bro. Sorry to hear that, bro. Sorry to hear that, man. So, what is happening is we are going to be going to Melbourne in a couple of weeks' time. And some people might be aware of this. we are going to be going to PAX in Oz. PAX Oz in Melbourne. For those who do not know what that is, it is the biggest, if not the biggest gaming convention ever in Australia. And it's in Melbourne in 2 weeks' time on the 10th to the 11th of October. And I'm going to be there. And since we decided to do our fundraiser recently called Why I'm on the Hook, which is the original title we've officially been going by, we want to keep that running, you know, Why I'm on the Hook, Why I'm on my dick. So, oh, good time with this music. Oh my God, let's play this music right now. Hang on. A bit more hype, you know. All right, so, okay. We are going to be doing some activities, having a fun time with everybody else. We're going to be playing some games together. We're going to be doing lots and lots of drinking. Because all the funds we've got is all going towards your entertainment. And what that means is we're pretty much going to be going to the aquarium, museum, a massive tall tower, like the biggest tower in Melbourne. It's really cool. Very, very cool stuff, honestly. It's really sick. So there's a lot I'm looking forward to. But mainly, it's PAX. So we officially hit our goal of $200. We officially smashed $200. Thank you, everybody who was so happen to know anybody who was participating in that fundraising. Thank you for everybody's money. We appreciate it. Well, not only money, it's funds. But thanks we actually did that. We hit our goal on me wearing a maid outfit. I'm gonna go to the biggest gaming convention with Big Audio One wearing a pink maid outfit. It's gonna be insane. Yes, it is definitely me. Yes, it's me. Me. Yeah, I'm gonna be in maid outfits. You wanna see it? You wanna see what the maid outfit looks like? I can't believe I'm getting it. Hopefully it gets it there before like a week before it actually arrives, you know? So, yeah, so I hope you're doing well though. Hope you're doing well though, Rhino. Yeah, if whoever does not know who Vynyl is one of the original mods for my server. Way before Mantis, way before Zom. Vynyl is literally on the same wavelength as Fat Llama. He goes that far. That's good, man. It was, yes, almost it was. Yes, almost it was. Yes, you're right, actually. How'd you know? How'd you know? Give me 1 second. I just have to go through the photos to see if I can actually find the photos so you guys see it. Lighting. Is this it? I might have found it. Yeah, this is it. I might have found it. Waiting for Mantis. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was, yeah. I'm pretty sure Vynyl became a mod before you, Mantis. A long time ago. Where is it? Your package has been shipped. There we go. You want to see it? Are you guys ready for the maid outfit reveal? It's quite interesting. He was made mod on a joke 3 times in a row. We actually? Jesus Christ. We actually? Jesus. Okay. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. I didn't even notice that. My bad, Chief. My bad. But yeah, honestly, hope we're doing well, everybody who was here. Rhino, I hope you're doing great too as well. Every time you modded me, yes, that's very, very true. It was a joke, yes. I remember that actually. That was actually pretty crazy how I did that actually. So we're gonna be basically, this time, we're gonna be using the funds to upgrade, hopefully, to have better tech when streaming outside, you know? Get some cooler. Fine, I'll never say that ever again. Gonna show off the cleavage, I like it. Yeah, dude. Dude, I'm so tempted to see what it's gonna look like on me. I hope it actually fits properly. If not, we need to make some adjustments around me, honestly. Seriously. The most serious, yeah, you are. You're a most serious, unserious person. Yeah, Vynyl, honestly, it's crazy to see you again, Vynyl. Tonight we might have a special guest that you might remember, Vynyl, a long time ago. Gangalicious, I've started shitposting on everything. Really? Jesus Christ, Vynyl. Why am I not surprised? I'm not surprised. Be very careful who you shitpost, by the way. Be very careful, please, Vynyl. Honestly, I don't want you getting shot or murdered, bro, with shitposting. It'd be like that sometimes. But yes, we're going to try and get a thing called a pocket Wi-Fi in our bag.
So when we connect our stream, which is Worm's stream, I won't be streaming at all on that weekend when Worm and I are going to be together in October. We are pretty much going to be streaming all on Worm's Twitch. So go follow Worm on twitch.tv/BigAudioWorm, and we get our shout outs in case. And we also just want to make sure that it's all on one platform. Everybody can just go to it and watch it. And we are trying to get a better Wi-Fi connection. So when we are actually broadcasting the stream on Worm's phone, we have a stable connection. And yes, unfortunately, it is just me and Worm. Sorry, Crazy Bro as well. Crazy Bro will be coming with us on the Saturday for PAX, and we're going to be hanging out together. And Crazy Bro will even be coming with us back to Worm's place. So when Worm has his brand new home that he's going to be moving in currently right now as we speak, to be honest, we are basically going to be going down and having a good time with Worm in his brand new house. OVERWATCH account has been reborn due to my shit. Vinyl, be so careful, bro. Use a fake account at least, Vinyl. Use a fake account, bro. Oh, yes. I feel the same thing too. Yeah, actually. I feel the same way too, Rhino. Seriously, yeah. Honestly. Oh, yeah. Just leave on the old account. Make sure you have like a dead email. Can't be banned if I hit Masters. Wait, what? You're Masters now, Vinyl? Holy shit. What happened, Mantis? I don't understand, Mantis. I don't understand. Yo! Thank you! Oh my god! Thank you for that! Thank you, Mantis, for the sub! I really appreciate that. Thank you, Mantis. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Mantis. You didn't have to do that, but thank you, Mantis. And so now Mantis has officially got the special icon, which is the hook itself. $8. I will PayPal to you afterwards. Do not worry, Mantis. But seriously though, thank you though. I do appreciate that. Seriously, that's very, very kind of you, Mantis. You didn't have to do that, Mantis, but you decided to do it, and I do appreciate that, Mantis. Seriously, so thank you for that, Mantis. I might read off chat. Maybe it might be easier, to be honest. I know you're kidding. I know you're kidding. I do appreciate regardless of Mantis. But yeah, seriously, that's really cool, Vinyl. Good job, Vinyl. You hit Masters. Are you still playing Genji, or are you playing different characters, by the way, Vinyl? My thanks to you for involving me all that time. Like, oh, dude, you don't have to sub to me as a thank you, bro. The fact that you're here is just as valuable as anything else. Your time and your presence is the best thing I can ever ask for. So please do not need to feel the need to sub at all. I appreciate it regardless. So seriously. Still Genji, of course. You're still Genji. Of course, of course, of course. That's great. For those who don't know, my very first gold gun I ever got. No, it was my top 5 gold guns I've got on my Overwatch account. I think the top 5 was a Genji gold blade because of Vinyl. Vinyl, who is right there in the chat, he's right there. You can see Vinyl right there. He's right there. He pretty much was the reason why I got a gold blade Genji because when I was growing up with Overwatch with everybody, I pretty much just decided to be like, what if I get gold guns for people that I know and I look up to? So, Reinhardt Hammer, Big Audio 1, Genji Blade, Vinyl, Torbjorn Gold Gun Hammer, Fat Llama, Widowmaker Gold Gun, Demon, yes. That's alright, it's all good, it's all good. Thank you for that, thank you for the like, bro. Oh man, I need to get rid of Frosty Tools as well. I need to change my bot. My bot sucks. It's just spam. I hate it. I just want to make it clean, you know? Thank you for the like though. Thank you for the like though. So before losing the money, oh my god. Genji Master Player scammed me. Yeah, oh, are you an Rhino? Are you an Ana player? Holy shit, damn. Yes, that's my point. How good is that? It's so nice. It's very, very nice to like have that connection with people in the smallest minute detail, you know? It's so nice. So another thing as well I got to do, yeah, Ana BAP. Oh, BAP as well? Dude, Vinyl, remember old mate Azabaza, who was actually really good as BAP? But man, he was a toxic little cunt. He really was. Warning, there's an ad coming up very, very soon. Oh, of course you would. Of course you would, Vinyl. Of course you would. Because why not? Of course. Why would you not ban Anna? Why would you not ban Anna? I just watched a video to press the most obvious button. That's crazy. I'm so sorry, man. Very sorry about that. But yes, I'm very, very excited to go to Melbourne in a couple of weeks' time. I'll be going on a plane. I'll be chilling and hanging out for one the whole weekend. Arriving in on the 8th, I'm pretty sure. I'll double check on the map right now. You crave Nano? Oh my god, of course you would. Christ. So yeah, I'll be arriving, yes, on the 9th of October, I'll be arriving in Melbourne and I'll be leaving on the 13th. So the entire weekend, I'll be with Big Audio One. Very excited, very excited. I'm very excited because okay, the museum in Melbourne is so cool. I love the museum in Melbourne. The museum, like the dinosaur exhibits, are so fucking cool. Look up the charcoal Triceratops in the Melbourne Museum. That Triceratops skeleton is one of the most impressive fossil discoveries ever, and it's in Melbourne. And I went there twice, 3 times this year, because the whole exhibit is so cool. Just watch a video or just look at my video on my YouTube, on my hooksniffer, and me talking about the rhino exhibit. It's really, really cool. I can't wait to get back to it. You're a ball player? Nice. Oh, thank you, Charles. Appreciate it, Charles. We got an ad break coming up. There's an ad break coming up in a second, guys. So, I won't say anything. For those who subbed, thank you for being here. For those who are not subbed, I'm just not going to talk much. I'm just going to chill. Oh, there's a combo. Look at that. It's emote combos, by the way. So, if people want to do like combos, emotes, you know what to do. Little combo right there. Yeah, exactly, Mantis. You're chilling. You're part of the cool kids now, Mantis. Oh, Bandit. Yep, cool. Are we back from ads? Hey, thank you everybody who was here. I appreciate it. Do I get mugged now? I'm so sorry. Vinyl, stop it, Vinyl. Be nice, Vinyl. Mantis became basically you, a ship maker and a ship poster while you've been gone. So thank you, Vinyl. Thank you, Vinyl. But yes, please respect Mantis a little bit, Vinyl, please, because Mantis is like the next generation of you, Vinyl. So please, yeah, I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, if you ban out an Anna Ball, it's kind of untouchable. Is it really? Oh, cool. Remember this song? This song's from RuneScape. I like the song. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I get that. Thank you, Chelsea. I am very excited. I'm very, very excited though. You shitties? Yes, you are. You are Mantis. You are. I had to cut so much from the fucking stream, honestly. Whoever's mod, can someone please type in hooksniffer YT VODs, and you'll see my thing right there. Nobody can be the next me. I'll never play ball. Honestly, yeah, I get that. I might just type it here actually. YT. Oh, you misspelled it. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Hook HS YouTube. Hang on. YouTube. Oh, it's such a complicated thing. Why am I so complicated? I think I made it like that. No, I didn't. Oh, there's no way. Oh, HS UT VODs. Oh, hello. Oh my god, everyone's here. Hello. I know, I'm sorry, Mantis. I did not know what the command was. I can look at the commands right now, Mantis. I'll look at the commands right now. Funny you say that. I'm on the website right now, Mantis. So give me 1 second. Hope you're doing well, by the way, Fat Llama and Kayla. I love how both you guys came at the exact same time. Who likes this music, by the way? The music actually slaps. This is from RuneScape, by the way, who those who don't know. RuneScape is great. Yeah, with Kayla. It's Llama, and Llama is Kayla. And it's Fat Llama and what do you call it? It's Vinyl and Llama. Ah! Who followed me? Thank you for the follow. Thanks for the follow. I've been loving at the moment momentum characters and smashing out Doom. Oh, Ryder, you've been playing Doom? Doom is a very impressive tank to play, honestly. You didn't hear it? Oh, really? Oh my god, really? That sucks. I'm so sorry about that. Give me 1 second, sorry guys. Oh my god, it's that. That's so complicated. Holy moly. Yeah, that's my one right there. Pangea, properties. I thought I did it. No, it was a bit more than that. It was a bit more than that, Vinyl. Don't listen to them. It was a bit more than that. Pangea. I thought... Okay, we'll try that again. That was a bit more than that though, Mantis. A bit more than that. So yeah, that's my... If you want to go and follow me on my YouTube right there. Thanks for the follow, Llama, by the way. Thanks for the follow, honestly. Thank you for the follow, Llama. Appreciate it. It might work now. If you type in Tangia, type in some random thing, it should work, to be honest, right now. Hopefully it works. Does this work now? Okay. Did you guys hear that? Okay, wow. I don't know why that doesn't work then. I just got a message on Overwatch. Vynall is the coolest guy I've ever met. He's so strong, amazing, handsome, bold, powerful, and more. Can someone please time out Vynall for 10 minutes? That sucks though. Fuck off. Dude, I need to get rid of so much of that wise bot bullshit. That's so annoying to see. Yeah, I figured. Advanced audio monitor only off. Which one is it that actually works when it comes to monitor input output? Alright, let's try that again. Did that work? I don't know if that worked or not. Thanks for clipping that, by the way. I appreciate that. Oh, there we go. That's better. Appreciate it. Okay, now I know how it worked. Yeah, cool. Is it not too loud from the music? But yeah, Llama, we were just talking about, and Kayla, by the way, we have been talking about me going to Melbourne in a few weeks' time. I'll be going to hang out with Big Audie One and PAX, wearing my maid outfit. Have you seen the maid outfit, by the way? The maid outfit is actually kind of fire, not gonna lie. It's very, very fire. I have to admit, it's pretty fire. Yeah, bro, it's kind of wild, honestly. I still can't believe I got that. It's such a
Hook your shit up to my work one day and bash me live on Twitch.
Actually, if I had kick, I will definitely do that. Yeah, shout out Pepsi, Llama. Honestly, okay. Hey, chat, let's do a poll. If somebody can make a poll right now, please. Coke or Pepsi, please. We'll do a vote. I'm a Pepsi guy. I just want to know what you guys think. Who likes Pepsi, who likes Coke? Let's please make a poll right now, please. Fucking Jesus Christ. Oh, it's okay. I think it's slash poll, I'm pretty sure. I think it's slash poll. I knew you would like that, Llama. It's fun like Tangia. It's true. We got another message from the mysterious player. Like, he's so dreamy and cool. I wish to be just like him and play Genji as well as he does. He might just be the best Genji player OCE. I'm his biggest fan. You are so fucking cringe. What the fuck? Dude, what the frick? Seriously, what the fuck? I was just reading that. I was reading that. You didn't have to say 2 hours later, bitch. But yeah. Okay. So yes. Oh yeah, I was meant to show you the outfit. Oh my god, I'm getting so like carried away. There's a lot of things happening right now. Who likes it? Hello? You hear that? Hear that? You cannot diss my goat like that. Shut the fuck up. Okay, the main alpha has been shipped. The main alpha has been shipped over. So, here it is.
Shut up, bitch!
You shut up. Look at that. I'm wearing that in packs. Oh, God. It's an XL, by the way. So, hopefully that should be okay for me, hopefully. Oh, my God. Shut up. I should watch the clip. I'll definitely will watch it afterwards, Mantis. While we're waiting for a game, we'll do that. Okay, you know what? Should we just chill and just play some Overwatch? Who wants to play some Overwatch with me? Anybody? Who wants to play some Overwatch? Who wants to play some good old-fashioned Overwatch like old time's sake? Or just want to talk? You guys want to talk here, maybe? Mantis? I prefer comp. You'll hop in right now? Okay, sure. Yeah, Mantis, I want you and Vinyl to meet, actually. Okay, quick play. We'll do quick play. Okay, hang on. Peak. He forgot to uninstall. Oh, no, hang on. Okay, hang on. Stop. We'll do a poll. Llama wants to play Peak. So, we'll do a poll. Whoever game goes first will play one game. And then once that is done, Vinyl, Llama and I have been playing Peak together. We've been enjoying that. But yeah, okay. Are you sure? Because we can do like a thing. We'll do one game. And then we'll play Peak, okay, Llama? Unless you want to jump on as well, Llama, if you got your computer set up. It's up to you, Llama. I don't mind either way. Yeah. Ah, look at the little Pepe frog right there. It's really cute. I love that. So it'll be me. Oh, yeah, Llama, did you want to join, Llama? If you actually have it already, Llama, I would love to have you join, bro. It's been a long time since you've been here, Llama. The entire stream we did the whole weekend was insane. Have you seen them on my YouTube channel, Llama? I was lost in a forest. I got carried by my little brother. Almost got thrown to a lake. Oh, honestly, it's such a crazy weekend it was. And you in the stream when we were in the car together. That was really cool. Mantis and I spoke to you, bro. That was really cool, actually. Okay, so it's me, Vinyl, as well as Mantis. We have 3 people. Whoever wants to join right now, it'll probably be quick play, just in case we don't want to lose any ranks. Just have a fun time, you know? It'll be a nice time. It'll be a good time, you know? It'll be a very, very nice time. But yeah, if you're there, Kayla, I hope you're doing well, Kayla. And Kayla, if you do want to like catch up and like you want to hang out sometime all throughout the weekend, I'm down in Melbourne, let me know, please. It'd be so nice to hang out with you again, Kayla. I missed you, bro. I hope it's been going well with you streaming and your PNG tuber and your VTuber model and everything like that. Well, do you rank to Wet Paper Towel? Not gonna lie, I would rather be Wet Paper Towel 5 than Wet Paper Towel 4. I would rather be that. 5 is a pretty good level. Yeah. Just got that. You down install it? That's okay. Okay, that's fine. I come to Melbourne, but I'm too busy packing and looking for a house. Oh, are you moving a new house, Vinyl? Really, Vinyl? Really? Oh, shit. You installed Llama? Just want to let everybody know. Until everyone stops playing Overwatch that I am friends with and they actually play games with me, I will then stop playing Overwatch. It sounds sad, but I want to play games where everybody else is playing so we can still hang out and spend time together. Like Peak. I want to play more Peak. I really do. Oh my god, Llama is on Peak right now. Bro, don't cheat, Llama. You should join VC in the server. I mean, yeah. I mean, if Vinyl and I are still playing, we could jump on VC, bro. We may chance be getting evicted. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Vinyl. That sucks. I'm so sorry, Vinyl. You can still talk. I mean, you can talk here, though. We'll get on VC? Alright, we'll go on VC. We'll get on VC. We'll go on VC right now. Oh, Dylan's here too. We should invite Dylan as well. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry to hear that though, Mantis. That sucks, Mantis. Oh, look at that, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, ho, 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 ho. That technology, bro. I love my stick technology. It's really, really cool. Oh, man. It feels so wild to be back again. Oh, my God. What is this song? This song's neat. Oh, Dylan, stop playing Overwatch. My bad. Okay. I think I might have messed up my camera. Just give me a second. Oh my god, I'm not gonna lie. I would actually play COD while waiting for games. I really would actually. Mantis, there's no point 1v1ing people with skill because I'll lose. It'd be not fun for me, Mantis. I'm sorry, but I'll be too casual about it. Hey! Hey! Hello? Hey! Hello? Hey, hello, how are we? How you going, man? Give me 1 second, sorry, man.
You're a good mate.
Hey, Ben, bro. Hey, Ben. Holy shit, man. What's been going on, bro?
Hello.
Hello. I'm just changing my thing. Do not worry. Don't worry. Oh, I know what it is. That's hilarious. That's way better. Oh, hello.
Let's see how
Hello.
long it takes for Hook to get banned off Twitch.
It should be pretty quick, to be honest.
That's better.
Yeah. All it takes is one look at your channel and then you're gone.
100%, bro. 100%, bro. Wait, so Vinyl, did you want to play comp or do you want to play quick play, Vinyl?
If we play comp, I have to switch accounts.
Oh, that's fine. Alright, we'll play quick play. Play quick play. Who gives a shit? But yeah, hey Ben, you've been going well, boys. You and Vinyl, what's been going on? What's been happening?
I'm chilling. I'm bald.
Yeah, are you still bald? Vinyl, are you still bald? Oh my god! Oh my god, that's tragic.
I'm a little ticked off. You kind of got at me mostly for the swearing around the people when you were drinking around the people.
That was more than that was a bit more than that, Mantis, and I don't really feel comfortable in saying it on stream.
I know there is more than that, but the message you sent made it sound like you were mostly getting at me for that bit.
Oh no. It was like I was mainly using that as a backup for more reasons as well, but it was mainly the other part that kind of fucks me off a bit, you know? Holy shit, Vinyl.
Bro skipped plan A and went straight to plan B.
What level are you, Vinyl, on your Genji account?
This one?
Yeah. Because I don't think I've never seen gold before. I mean, oh my god, I might be higher than you maybe on my Roadhog account.
Yeah, no, you are. You are.
Oh my
53.
god. Damn, not bad, not bad. Pretty
like
good.
A big break from Overwatch.
Oh, I recommend it. Always have a good break from Overwatch.
Yeah.
I just don't play Overwatch.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't like Overwatch 2. I prefer Overwatch 1 still, after all this time.
100%, yeah,
But,
definitely.
Yeah, no,
Overwatch 2 is a glorified shop update. With
dude, that's actually so fucking real. I hate Overwatch 2. It's so bad.
It really is, yeah. It's not that great.
I'd say it's the worst game I've ever played, but
Call of Duty
do
Black
play
Ops 6. Yeah. It's a bit of a mess, that game. Black Ops 6.
Yeah.
I had it. I uninstalled it like maybe a weekend.
Oh,
bad
really?
It was. Yeah, dude. Fucking, nah, that shit was so ass.
Oh my
so the rumors with Treyarch for Black Ops 6 has said that they didn't want to make Black Ops 6, so they didn't care for it.
That's
which
crazy.
I think is absolute bullshit. They, like Sledgehammer, they've been forced to make games they didn't want to make back to back, I think, actually, and they've poured their heart and soul into the games. Treyarch makes one game they didn't want to make, and they just don't care at all.
Which is crazy how they do that, eh? That's wild. I don't understand that.
Treyarch has always been the fan favorite, but they are easily the worst COD studio ever because they took one game of the abuse that Sledgehammer has gone through, and they said, "Nah, we don't want to do this."
That's actually so based. What the hell? That's so based. Oh, come on. Oh, cool. M14. Let's go. But yeah, seriously though. What? What's up?
I'm looking really forward to Black Ops 7 because that means I get to uninstall BO6.
Turns out it's worse.
Yeah, I'm never getting another.
No, apparently they wanted to make a BO2 sequel instead of a Black Ops 6.
A BO2 sequel, really?
Yeah. Which is what Black Ops 7 is going to be, and allegedly it's going to have more post-launch support than Modern Warfare 3.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Which I call bullshit on, because Sledgehammer just can't be topped. They are the studio that cares.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
They see the players as players, not as consumers.
I feel that. I feel that. Oh,
fuck! I hate Treyarch. What's the last? Oh, okay. BO4 was a mixed bag. The last good game they made was Black Ops 3.
It'd be like that.
Oh man, also hate Treyarch because they
actually Treyarch hasn't made a single game that since the last game Treyarch made that wasn't from the Black Ops franchise was fucking World at War, and that was before the Black Ops 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just. Overwatch sucks. Overwatch 2 sucks compared to Overwatch 1, man. I fucking hate it.
It's not that bad. It's a bit scummy.
No, it's terrible. It is so bad. What do you mean? Every tank has almost the same HP as a Winston ult. The fucking supports are just like overbuffed. Genji keeps getting nerfed for no fucking reason.
Actually, only the new supports and Mercy are good.
Oh, 100%. Like,
Lucio continues to be nerfed into the ground when he's easily underperforms in every slot.
It's crazy. It doesn't depend who's playing the character. Well, it depends.
The only area that Lucio excels in Overwatch is mobility. And that's it. Because he has high mobility, he has to be dog shit.
Yeah. I get that.
No, you don't get that. That's absolute bullshit.
I've been playing Overwatch 1 for years, and I can definitely see the difference in like how bad it's been getting.
With that logic, Hook, Zen has no mobility, so he should be the most overpowered character in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's melee does 60 damage, which is a bit insane.
It is very much insane, yes. Oh, there's a hog. Hog above. Oh, shit. I died. Alright.
I dashed a wall, that's it.
That's alright. Nothing wrong with that. Alright.
I blame chair placement.
Oh, Morty? Oh, jeez, Rick.
Morty!
Oh, jeez,
Get
Rick.
in the fucking car, Morty!
I love that. That episode was so funny. The fact that was an official.
I don't think that was an actual episode. I think that was just someone animated that.
Oh no, it was Adult Swim. I was on Adult Swim. They made an actual episode. Yeah. Very, very much official. Ooh, very nice hook. I got hinged. I might die here.
Hook, the only thing you can catch is hookers. And even they realize that you're not worth it like 2 minutes in.
Oh, that was such a good fucking hook. Holy shit, thank you.
How do you feel about the hog buff?
No difference.
No difference? Oh, I mean, he can one-shot again, you know.
Oh, but I couldn't do much difference before any time, though.
They reverted him back to Overwatch 1 hog.
That sounds like a mistake.
Yeah, no, he's really good right now.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it depends.
Actually, no. Let's wind the clock back to Overwatch 2 Season 2. Doom got the first good buff since he was turned into a tank. He was good for 2 weeks, and then they nerfed him into the ground.
It'd be like that, unfortunately.
However, he was good. He was like the best tank in the game for 6 seasons straight.
He really was, actually. He really was. Pretty wild.
Doom is good for 2 weeks? Nah, too much. Ban him. Get rid of him.
I think it is based on who complains the most and like what is the most damaging of the enjoyment for the play base. That's how I feel about that.
Hog is a greedy tank.
Debatable.
No, he is a greedy tank because he
can heal himself.
Everything he does, everything in his kit is to benefit himself.
Which is funny though.
Except for the ult, that kind of just completely ruins it.
Yeah.
His ult makes no sense.
I agree to an extent.
How would you design foot hogs?
None really, to be honest.
Oh, the Mercy gun.
Watch out for Mercy.
Actually, that.
Cool. Thank
that
you.
reminds me. Talking about Mercy, that reminds me of the last time when I played with Worm. That one stream.
Yeah.
I stream sniped him. I should have banned Mercy just to fuck with him because he was on support.
Are you sure, Llama? You're good, Llama? I was gonna like see if you want to like hang out, play Peak afterwards. I don't know how late it was gonna be for you, Llama. I'm so sorry, bro.
Look, there's no way. I just opened stream. There's no way you will get Hog's galactic gun, but not the gold gun.
Oh no, I chose to get the galactic gun instead of gold gun anyway.
Wait, what happened to it? Did they like actually just revert Hog back to Overwatch 1?
Oh Jesus Christ! Okay, yeah, no worries, Llama. That's all good, Llama.
He's
That's okay, Llama. Have a rest, bro. Good to see you, bro. We have to catch up soon, though, Llama. We should ever play that Wizard game, though. The Wizard game looks fun as fuck, bro. You want energy? That's fine. That's fine. That's okay, Llama. Nice to see you. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the follow, bar. Llama, do you see your sub icon, by the way, Llama? Have you noticed it, Llama? I wonder if you noticed it.
No way.
That is the maxed actual sub you can get, and that's Llama's rifle trophy. And that's why it's only Llama, because no one else can get that. That's why it's Llama's only sub badge only. No one else can get that except for Llama, because she's been subbed the longest. And so she deserves to have that. Yeah.
So what's your fucking plan for when someone's been subbed for 2.5 years?
Oh, then I'll make their own custom icon as well. Everyone has their own icon badge. I think that makes sense.
I need to talk to a Twitch dev if they can make me a custom badge.
Oh my god, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. That's alright. That's alright. Also, Llama, I'm not sure if you're still here anymore. If you go to this one here, type in ! Yoshi Llama. If you still there, Llama.
If my tactical plan to get to my own badge works, the description for the badge is going to be Mantis's badge, because why not?
Well, it'd be like that.
Actually, whilst on the topic of
it's not there.
Personalized thing, can we have
it doesn't work. Oh, my thing is different. Oh no, I need to re-add that again. Yeah, that's a shame.
Since when did I put? Didn't I? When was the naughty corner at the top?
I'm not too sure. I'm so sorry, Llama. That was meant to be Lord Crochet of Llama, basically what you made. No, it's only Yoshi only.
When I made the naughty corner,
who cares? It's fine.
I swear I put it in general.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, thank you for keeping an eye on my friend if he ever joins.
No, that's okay.
He should probably be banned within the second.
You reckon so? Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Just anything in the slightest slip up.
Yeah, of course. That sucks. I'm so mad that the icon didn't work. Do I have to adjust it to that particular bot? I don't understand. It's so annoying. No, it won't work, Llama. I have to make sure that the actual emoji sets to the actual chat bot that I'm on, because I've been going through different chat bots for ages, because I'm trying to find the right one that looks the best. I need to figure out what bot that is for me to use those icons. Yeah, if he doesn't drop by, don't let him get into server. Oh no, honestly, if he does join, I can just ban him. He'll probably put me at school. What? Okay.
out.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Well, okay, I'll avoid that. I'll avoid that. How does he know about that kind of thing, though? That's what I want to know.
He doesn't.
Nah, that's fine. We'll just avoid it then. Easy. That's okay, though. If he finds out, he finds out. That's okay. We're gonna, like, block him anyway. I doubt anyway that he'll even find it anyway. Just hope for the best. That's how I feel.
One look at my server profile in the server, and that's it.
Oh, true, actually. Does he have this score? This is like a very classic old school Call of Duty Zombies.
Oh, is this World at War?
I'm not too sure. It just says Call of Duty Zombies Portal.
Yeah, I don't think this is legit then.
I don't really care. I want to play Call of Duty Zombies, and I just want to play this. Hope you're going okay, Vinyl. Hope you're okay, dude.
Jump.
Nice dude, nice dude. Good night, Llama. I'm so sorry about the the missing emoji. That was gonna be a nice surprise for you, Llama. Damn, I'm so mad about that. Okay, see you, Llama. Enjoy it nicely, bro. Have a good rest, Llama. Seriously, you deserve it, bro. We have to catch up soon, bro.
Hook, you should like totally like change the price of the free merch to 30,000.
I wonder
Just for,
why.
like-
I wonder why.
Yeah, for no specific reason.
That's really impressive, though. 30,000. That's really good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it, Mantis.
Just trust me. Just trust me. Free mug. Trust me.
Oh my god.
Or better yet, you should do what I said a while back and wait for Astral to finish making my PNG and make that a mug.
Oh, true. Maybe, yeah. Because you can't do a design. If you get free merch, you can't change the design of it.
Oh, I can? Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how,
my
yeah, what?
It's gonna have my profile picture when Astral's finished with that, and then text that says Mantis knows best.
I like that. That's funny. Yeah, Elle, the Umbrella, she has a shot of me. That's a different thing entirely. It's my ass with the fat version of the owner of Facebook opening his mouth up. It'd be like that. That's what they wanted. It's what they wanted. Mixture of Tez as well.
What?
Yeah, there's an image of me having half my ass hanging out, and they decided to be like, oh, let's add that to a shirt, a custom shirt. Tez donated it, and Tez used her points to help out pretty much Elle to get
Speaking
that.
of donating that, I need to talk to Worm. He still hasn't given me my free shirt.
Oh really? Oh, he's a bit busy right now, so give him some time to see how he goes, because he's moving to a new house. So.
Oh, he is? Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You set up?
Yeah. Should be fine.
I've completed... You want to know how many missions I've completed in HellDivers so far since August 28th?
How much?
68.
Jesus Christ, good job, bro. Nice, bro. Oh.
I'm really reinstalling Modern Warfare 3 on the new Xbox.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice, dude.
Reinstall Overwatch.
Yeah, just reinstall Overwatch, bro, at that point. Reinstall Overwatch, bro. We got
No,
find something.
Modern Warfare 3 is the good game.
True.
Like what the one that dropped like in like 2020 something or
23, yeah.
Oh, nice, dude.
Are we talking about that one?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out which one that one is. Yeah.
I played it for like 100 hours.
Jesus Christ, dude. Really?
Only 100.
Only 100. It's not a competition. It's not.
I guess I don't know. COD's not really my thing. I guess.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that.
COD is 100% my thing. The shanking is too much fun.
I just can't stand the fucking tax sprinting fucking geeks.
The what? Sorry? The what? Sorry?
The tax sprinting.
If you can't stand the tax sprint, there is actually
that?
a setting. You probably haven't found the setting that just automatically makes you tax sprint.
What is tax sprint?
It's when you run really
double tap
fast.
sprint.
What,
So you know
sorry?
how in Minecraft, how you double tap W to sprint?
Kind of, yeah.
It's basically that.
You double tap sprint while sprinting to activate a faster sprint that has durability.
Jesus. Okay.
Stamina bar.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. There's some like real big sweats. I'm like,
Yeah, that's my issue with Overwatch I mean, with Call of Duty as well. I'm not a fan of the sweats. They just kind of suck. They ruin the enjoyment of the game. I don't know.
Yeah, no, majority of my games. Like,
you're also being abused by the skill-based matchmaking system that COD has.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
I don't know. Last COD I really played was Black Ops 3.
That was a mixed bag for me. Black Ops 3 was a mixed bag for me. Wasn't a fan of much of it. Yeah.
I don't even remember what my Black Ops 3 settings were because I used to snipe on that a lot.
Sniping was very easy back then. They made it so easy on the Black Ops series.
No, it wasn't. Black Ops 3, you had no aim assist. It was the first COD.
I actually enjoyed
It was the first COD to have no aim assist on snipers.
Oh Jesus! Oh god! Oh god! Oh god!
Goes on.
It'd be like that.
What was that for?
Oh, I'm just playing the game.
Not very well.
Nah, I'm just playing the game. If we lose, we lose. We win, we win. I'm just playing the game. I'm just hanging out for you guys, honestly, at this point. If the vinyl gets off,
hanging out with me, then
yeah, cool.
We
Yeah.
must be in dark times if you're hanging out with me.
I'm sorry to hear that. If I had Call of Duty installed, I definitely would be playing that as well. But yeah, I don't have it, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say.
You know what you could do?
What?
Uninstall Overwatch for it.
I mean, I can play Overwatch and Call of Duty as well on my computer. I can do that.
Who would ever uninstall Overwatch? This game is amazing. It's fantastic, even. It's super, man.
Sounds like you're having fun there, Vinyl.
I'm chilling.
Yeah. I'm the same thing as well. I just don't care about the game as much. I'm just playing. That's all I'm doing is playing.
You know, hitting Masters is like a decent milestone, but it doesn't have the same it doesn't have the same effect as it would in Overwatch 1, you know?
Really?
I've got some HellDivers clips I clipped today that I'm gonna show you if they did end up saving.
It'd be a bit weird for me though, Mantis, because I don't really know what's good and what's bad on HellDivers because I don't know anything about HellDivers.
Oh no, you'll understand the chaos when you see it.
Okay.
Oh, this download is gonna take a while. Oh dear. I'll
That's
post
fine.
stream, see if that doesn't. No, I cancelled the download. Fuck me.
There's a lot of damage right here.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, that's
thank you,
going
thank
so
you.
much faster. Goodbye Twitch stream.
Yay! No, Winston. That's how we do it.
I'll be forever glad that
I did get a cool COD clip. I forgot why I clipped it today, but you'll see it.
Yeah?
I think I clipped it too long, so I'll have to like edit it down.
That's alright. I got ult.
Here we go. Hi, Blade. We have none of Blade.
Nice. Good shutdown. No.
Oh, but I don't think the second HellDivers clip downloaded.
That's okay.
Alright, don't worry, I've got the Xbox on right now. I can fix that problem.
Whoa! What a hook! That was crazy. Good shit. Thank you.
Alright, let's edit these clips down so they're able to be watched.
Even if you post on YouTube, I can just watch it from YouTube. Watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch out for that. Oh, I got Reaper. Woo! Thank you.
Oh my god.
Nice. Thank you. Wait, who's around? Who killed? Oh, okay, Sojin.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay, bro. No. Oh, yeah, nice. No.
Yeah.
Ah, that's alright.
Oh yeah, that was a good clip. That's why I downloaded it. Oh, that's why I clipped that one. Yeah, so I was going to show the boys that one because the ragdoll effects there were insane.
Oh yeah, I love ragdolls in games. They're funny as hell.
Yeah, so someone threw down like one of the biggest bombs in the game and I just went flying.
Oh my god, that's funny. No, the robot. Dude, I still do not like the robot in this game mode.
Yeah.
It breaks my hooks. It breaks my hooks. It's crazy. It disconnects my hooks. Oh shit. Winston. Hey Amber, how are you, bro? How are you, Amber?
Hello, Amber.
Hope you're doing well, Amber. I'm playing with an old mate of mine, Vinyl. He was part of the server for a fair while. You just missed out Llama before, Amber. Llama was here before.
I'm a contest so that I got
Hey, the clip's at 69% downloaded.
Nice, dude. Nice,
it's
dude.
71 now. It was perfect. But nothing ever lasts forever.
That's okay.
How is the game still installing at max speed? Holy shit.
Not too sure. Oh, so close.
He's literally one. Please,
I know.
someone stays on him.
He's so close. Yeah, he's dead. This is Kiri. I mean, Juno. Sorry. Juno. Nice. I can hear Reaper somewhere. Alright, he's over there. Someone's over there.
I might make a HellDivers montage, actually, of just a bunch of explosions.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
But
No. What's good? Yeah, that is Mantis, Amber. That is Mantis. Can you hear Mantis, by the way? Can you hear Mantis, by the way, Amber?
Yeah, I was able to hear myself earlier when you were talking, so she's able to hear me.
Okay, cool.
I can contest. Hold on.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hold off on uploading this clip to YouTube.
That's fine,
till I
bro.
eventually make like a HellDivers explosion complication to like American Idiot or some song. Actually, no, it's not gonna be American Idiot because I do know a song.
I'm not too sure. Amber's wondering if you're sick, by the way. Amber's wondering if you're sick.
No, it's just my massive nose that like blocks casual all the time.
Hey, Metabi, how are you, dude? You're washed? Shut up, don't say that, bro. You're not washed, bro.
I'm just not one.
Look, I'm gonna get you to react to the explosions in this video, this clip, once we're done with that match.
That's alright. Not bad. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing pretty well, man. GG's, boys. GG's.
I don't know yet. We actually won this fight.
Okay.
Die. Now Anna dies. Okay, we might lose.
It's fine. I don't care. I want to watch Mantis's videos. You've been doing well, though, bro? What's been going on for you, bro? Hopefully this sounds okay. Not much? Nice, dude. Nice, dude. We love that. We love that. My first stream back from hanging out with everybody.
Oh my god. Yes, I remember what.
Oh my god, Amber.
The explosions in this clip were insane.
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. Let's go. Let's go. Overtime. I was hanging out. Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun. GG's well played.
I'm gonna go eat dinner now.
That's alright. That's all good. I'll just react to some answers and stuff, though. Love me playing with games, bro, with you, bro. We have to play a bit afterwards, bro. I'm gonna play a game as well. No way.
I might send it to you on Insta because I don't think.
Fucking jeez! Holy
I'm gonna send it
shit.
to you on Insta because I don't think Discord will let me upload it because it's too long.
That's okay, bro. Fucking hell, that's gonna show me. I love the name. That's great. Somebody liked the name hooksniffer. I love that.
Who liked that name?
Some of the name of King Ranger. No, King Ranger apparently. Alright, in a second, I'm just gonna load up the thing. I'm just gonna cancel queue and then we're just gonna go to let me just load up Instagram. Was you ever a Digimon fan? I'm not gonna lie, I did not mind Digimon. Digimon's pretty cool, but for me, it just got too over the top with everything was happening in the digital world. I just don't like it that much. It was okay. I liked the first movie though a lot. I think when your dad was my age, I think. So it's quite an old series. Love the kind of stuff. It's pretty good. And the first movie was pretty cool. I just kind of got off it after a while though. Digimon comes out in 2 weeks and free demo on Steam. Very fun. Nice, dude. I'm gonna be a... Oh yeah. I'll be keep myself a bit away from Steam for a while. I don't want to download anything from Steam for a bit because there's a bit of a horror story about a guy losing a bunch of money from him downloading a stream, like a Steam game, because chat recommended him to download it and he lost a bunch of money. So I might just maybe hold off from downloading anything from Steam for a while. Maybe, yeah. It's sad because the streamer basically was like, he was basically saving up money to go to save up money to pay off cancer medical stuff, which is really, really sad. No, not donations. He was just saving up money to pay up his cancer medical bills, and then this game went through his computer and stole all the money, and like he was just devastated on stream. It's coming on consoles too. A free demo. Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, it was really sad though. I'm not sure what game it was called though. I'll have to go to Most Critical on that. I saw it on his story. It was. I felt so bad for the guy. I was so sad from that guy. It was so sad. There was the Most Critical video. Where is it? Oh yeah, I'm still waiting for your video by the way, Mantis. Not sure it is, but Town of Salem, me and my mates got hacked on that. Oh my god, really? You got hacked on Town of Salem? Jesus Christ, bro. Holy shit, man. Where is this bloody... Nothing yet. Not yet here for me, bro. Oh, that's so bad. Yeah, be very careful with what emails you link together. I try and normally link my dead emails like that. So your account someone from India who would purchase V-Bucks? What the fuck? Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to look for a video just to let people know to avoid. No. I'm so sorry. The video got taken down anyway. So it doesn't really matter. The video got taken down. So it doesn't really matter. What? Can you hear that? Yeah, I think you could actually. That sucks though. Hopefully you got your account back though, at least. You got your account information back though, at least, bro. That sucks though. I do apologize to hear about that, bro. That sucks, bro.
Overrated. Like, it's not even in a good...
I think Fortnite's quite fun still. I would love to play Fortnite again. I'll send a notification to everyone with a security breach or whatever. Oh, that sucks, dude. That sucks. You sure this is it, I think?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, so you can't hear it. Okay, cool. Alright, glasses off. What is this? Okay. What? It's like a big bunch of robots, okay.
Yeah, look at how many robots just came in.
I don't know.
From those pits.
Oh.
So I just called in the funny laser that trapped enemies. And you see that big thing that I'm about to throw the explosion
Holy
at?
shit.
That
Oh
is
my
basically an
god.
AT-AT.
Oh, I love
It's
AT-ATs.
basically
I
a
love
legal-free version of an AT-AT. Look at the kill streak that's going on.
43 kill streak. Jesus Christ. 50 kills you got. It's still going. How'd you even get that? Jesus Christ. How'd you even get that, bro?
That's like... This is what's considered the normal difficulty of the game. Level 7.
Oh, so this is other people you're versing with bots.
Do you want to know what the difficulty is called?
What is difficulty called?
Suicide mission.
Oh yeah, that's normal. That's like every mission for a war game or something like that.
Yeah. And then the
I don't know what level 8 is called. But I do know that level 9 is HellDive and level 10 is Super HellDive.
Super HellDive. I love
HellDivers has a
that.
really cool way of scaling their difficulty.
Mhm.
So I forgot where I've seen it before, but like the stats between the difficulties are all the same. The only difference is the volume and amount of enemies.
Yeah. Damn though. I heard it's very fun. I heard that game is very, very fun in general. I heard it's very enjoyable. Yeah. Oh really? Is it that bad? Oh really? Really? Oh yeah. Unfortunately, it's how it is with some games like that, unfortunately. It'd be like that, unfortunately. It's pretty sad how it comes to that. Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Jesus Christ. What do they do? Oh really?
Blind. He doesn't need the wings.
My god.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's fun.
Oh. Alright, I just found a game on thingy. I can still talk, but if I stop talking for a bit, I'm just focusing.
Okay, that's why you're just looking.
It'd be like that. Good luck, have fun,
No,
boys.
I
Hope we're
just
having a good time.
Looking at my install progress, and I look down on the phone and I'm like, crap.
I have no clue you just said so, dude.
What does Twitch mean? What does Twitch mean? Get rewards by watching hooksniffer play just chatting.
What? Is that a thing? That's weird. I never heard that before. I just changed it again, so it's fine.
And then when I clicked on view details and it pulled up the Overwatch rewards.
Oh, because I changed it over, that's why.
Yeah. Funny nonetheless. Alright, I'm gonna head off. I'll be back in chat in a bit. I need to have like a shower.
Oh, dude, that's fine. Do whatever, bro. Do whatever. It's all good, bro. That's fine, bro. Take your time, bro.
I'll what up my plan to become mod once again and then completely purge the server.
Oh my god, bro. You won't be a shadow, bro. Believe me, bro. You won't be a shadow.
I never would have done that. I never would have done that, but when I subscribed, a bot message came up that said, "You're on your way to become a mod. Just don't ban everyone."
That's crazy.
Never thought of this plan unless it wasn't for the bot.
I love that. That's actually so funny. I love that.
So if my plan goes accordingly, you have nothing to blame but yourself because you added the bot and that message.
Honestly, yeah, I get that.
It's based.
Very base. I can imagine it.
Like Trustbot or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't care to read the bot.
Yeah, man. Hope we're doing well.
Bro, this bot didn't have what I did. Alright, I'll let you go.
It's all good, man.
As much as you want.
Yeah, I was fine. Just hanging out.
Let's have a good game, everyone.
What the fuck?
If you win, I will do absolutely nothing.
Oh, that's all good, bro. It's all good, bro. It's fine, bro.
Right, very
What'd you say? What's the range?
Yeah, I didn't hear that either at all. I don't know what that was. There's a Ryan. Sombra as well. Watch out for her stuff there. Oop. It's really good. It's really good. It's fine. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Ryan. Ryan's dead. Cool. Alright, dead. Juno. That's alright. Good shit, boys. Well done. Ryan's back. Juno's one. Oh. Sombra's here. Thank you.
I'm gonna do something real dumb.
Let's target the Ryan. Every time the Ryan shows up, let's target him.
Alright. Either. I don't mind. What's your dumb idea, bro? I'm sure it's not dumb. I'm sure it's funny.
No, Ryan, stop me.
Alright, let's show us the idea. No.
No, I'm bi-curious now. I'm bi-curious. You're happy now.
They're
What
all
the
up.
frick? Are they really?
Well, yeah, is this play the game worthy? Like, what's the go here?
Bro.
Get Ryan, he's low. He's so low.
Nice. He's alright.
Sojourn pushing from behind.
That's okay.
I'm coming. Oh, Hog, no.
It's fine. I don't care.
Hog.
We pushed well. It's fine.
Hog, I'm so sorry, Hog. I will kill whoever killed you, Hog. We got you.
Tell that to Hungry Jacks and McDonald's then, because they technically killed me slowly.
Oh, Ryan.
Ash above though.
I've got ult. I don't really know when to pop it because of their shield. I can only pop it with the Ryan.
That's okay.
Maybe get a cross angle. I'll use mine.
Whoa.
Oh, that was fucked.
That's okay.
Oh no! No!
That's alright. Just regroup. It's okay.
Oh, you're bullshitting me.
That's funny as fuck though.
Bro, that Ryan nearly got me. I bounced off his back.
I saw. I was ricocheted.
I was like, fuck.
I got off very soon too. He got me. I fell off the edge. It's fine. That's fine though. We can just regroup.
We're good. We still got plenty of time, bro. Let's not rush.
Soldier, just follow mine.
So we're focused on Reinhardt, aren't we? Yeah, I got him. That's fine. Oh, they got no tank.
I'm all in. Oh my gosh, how are they still alive? Fuck me.
Oh, it's fine. It's good. That was play the game. That was play the game. That was play the game. Well done, Hanzo.
Good Hanzo. Good Hanzo.
Good shit, bro. Well done, bro. Now do it again.
Was that your plan? Was that your?
Yeah, of course. That wasn't obvious.
Yeah, it was kind of
a secret plan.
Well, now not much more secret anymore because now we know what it is now. You should do it again, bro.
Oh, Ryan's low. Ryan's so low.
It's fine.
Get him!
It's fine.
Oh, how is he still alive? What the fuck?
It's okay.
Sick and Juno, you got that.
I'm gonna target the Juno.
That's alright.
Where is it? Where's the bitch? Oh, hello. That's dead.
Good shit. Are we able to push in? Ryan. Ryan.
Oh, Mercy's
Ryan's
gonna kill
inside.
me. Don't kill me.
Why
Ryan's back.
I'm pushing back.
That's okay.
Come back, Hog. Oh, fuck. I'm dead.
That's okay.
Hog's Ryan's low.
Yep, he's gone, he's gone. Juna ulting? Oh no, our Juna's ulting. Let's go. Oh, okay. He's dead. Oh, okay. Oh, we shouldn't be up here.
Oh, hello. What the?
That's okay.
I just came out of nowhere.
That's fine. We got the point, so it's
You're
fine.
such a supportive tank. I'm like way worse than you. I'm like, fucking healers.
Oh, I just don't care. I'm just playing the game. We lose the game. Who cares? Move on. And if you're going to complain about it, get the game. That's fine.
I'm like the worst tank ever.
You're only saying you're the worst if you're saying you're the worst. I'm sure you're not, bro. You put some more credit to yourself, bro. I'm sure you're a good tank, bro. Yeah, keep yourself positive, bro.
I only play Ramacha.
Oh, okay. No, I hope you fucking kill yourself. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I get it. I know everyone hates Rem.
No, he's fine. It depends how you handle him. It all depends how you handle him. Mercy, rezzing, that's fine, that's okay. We got this, boys. We got this, boys.
Ryan,
I got ult very soon anyway. Yay, we did it! Yay! Cool, good shit, boys. Well done. No more Mercy, yeah, she's dead. I'm just pushing everyone back. Free push. Well done, good round. That was a good fucking round. Good job, guys. That was actually really good.
That was easy. That was fucking easy.
No, it's not easy, bro. Nah, man.
I was like asleep, bro.
Let's lock
Say that when we win the game. So when we win.
Nah, I'm joking.
Why was I thinking to myself, I'm gonna go hard now? I don't know why. I was thinking to myself, why would you say that? Before you guys say I'm gonna go hard, I was like, what the fuck? This is a private lobby, bro.
Look, bro, I play. Oh, look, see, Hanzo's not even top 3, bro. You should let me play Hanzo.
Oh my god. No way, someone left the game.
Hanzo, dude, your ass.
Holy shit, someone left the game on the enemy team.
Who left? Oh, as if
that sucks.
Bro. You can play it out to the end. You do worse by leaving. Like, you lose so many more SR by leaving. Dude, that's just a stay.
I'll handicap myself. I won't hook.
I'll handicap myself. What are you gonna do?
No, I won't hook. I'll shoot. I won't hook.
Yeah.
Who they lose? They lose that tank or they lose the support?
I'll turn my monitor off. I'll just turn my
monitor off. They lost the
I
DPS.
think it was a DPS.
Oh, okay. I won't hook then. I won't hook
scatter
then.
arrow is very fair.
I thought you said scats. I was like, what? Dude, I hate being deaf.
I hate being deaf.
What?
What? I hate being deaf. Dude.
What?
So relatable.
So relatable. Yeah, I won't hook. Just to help them out a bit.
They gotta. He's so low.
It's fine.
Bro.
It's okay, boys. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh fuck!
It's fine. It's okay. It's fine.
That's Healer's fault. Healer's for not healing me.
My god, no, they're doing fine. The healers are doing great.
Brodog's not tanking properly.
I'm just trying my best. That's all that matters.
I'm doing everything. Go on my back.
It'd be like that. Here you go, pro caption.
Oh my gosh, get on my level, everyone.
Siggy's down. Siggy butt brain. Ashy wash, you dead. Thank you, bouncing bear. Good shit, man.
No, we can't. No, this is mean. We can't keep him in the spawn.
I'm just backing up a bit. Hey man, how are we?
Let's do it. Don't let him come out. Fuck.
Butt scratcher. No hooks on the butt scratcher. What the fuck's a butt scratcher? Hope you're doing well, Wisma. Hope you're doing well, Wisma. Hope you're doing well. I'm handicapping myself because somebody left their team, so I'm not hooking. Hope you're doing well though, bro. Alright, we got this. We got this in the bag, guys. We got this. It's easy. It's easy. Easy. Easy boys.
Oh.
Hey Siggy, what is that Sigma doing, bro?
Some guy's dead.
Ooh. Nah, yeah, it is. Yes, it's a very chill stream. Very chilled. I was playing with people before, but now I'm just hanging out.
Off, accidentally.
I was talking about... Oh, good shit, man. Well done. I was talking about what we're going to be doing in Melbourne next month, which I'm very excited about. Very excited. I have 8. What do you mean about that before, bro? Meant to be. What do you mean by that?
Oh, let's get rid of this Sig so I can pop out. Oh, Sig's dead.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, man. I'm just not being toxic, you know? It's not being toxic. What's this song playing? I don't know what the song is. What is the song?
Moira is dead.
Well done. Good shit, good shit, good shit.
Mercy is hiding like a little bitch. Yeah, this Sig is trying so hard to push by himself.
That's okay. Oh, we got that. That's fine. That's okay. Brutal, that really does suck. That really does suck, though. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. That was so painful to watch. I don't even play tank. That was so hard to watch. My shirt's really good. My shirt's very cool. Appreciate it. Slobbering my balls. That's a crazy thing to say.
Oh, he's holding. No, I just ran straight as play. I ran into that.
No, that's fine. Respectfully.
Brother.
It's fine.
It's fine. Just chill, everyone. Relax. Relax. Stressing over nothing. Roadhog, you are by yourself. Roadhog, you are by yourself.
That's fine. It's funny.
Dude, you were about to die. Oh, no, you're not. Oh, God.
Yeah, push it back.
Low. Sig's so
free push,
low.
free push, free push. Thank you. Yo, let's go! Yeah. If these guys need to turn around, I'm behind them.
Sig's dead. Oh my gosh, I just feel so bad for him.
Same. It's very hard, but you want to win though.
Team kill in the end. Oh my god.
GG's well played. We did very well.
No, fuck him. Don't tell them they did good. They did shit.
I don't give a shit. They tried their very best. That's all that fucking matters, cunt. As long as people all try their very best.
This is gonna be the
good shit. Well done, bro. Well done. Fantastic ult, bro.
You will be touched. Who said that?
What's your address?
Oh, dude, you're a Twitch streamer? Oh my god.
No, I got exposed. I got exposed. Oh no, I got exposed. Oh no. Thank you though. Appreciate it. Yeah, my shirt's great. Oh, my shirt's really cool. I've been doing well, bro. What is the song's playing? I want to change the song. The song sucks. Oh, it's a Pokemon song. I'm so sorry. This one's pretty good. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Good luck. Have fun, boys. Salations. Oh, it'd be like that. It'd be like that. What kind of song can I play? Where's my other music I had before? Bro, dude, this sucks. Where is my shit? Hey, how are we? How are you going, man? What's been going on, man? Welcome to the stream, bro. What has been happening, boys? What is going on? I've been doing well, bro. I've been doing well. Good luck, have fun, guys. Hope we're having a good time today. Good luck to it. Yeah, bro. You've been playing Minecraft, Dylan? Good shit, man. Huzzah.
Hooksniffer.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro. Hey, good game. Good game, though, before, by the way, Huzzah. I love your name, by the way. Your name's actually fucking sick, bro. Good name, bro. Good name, bro. Still stuck in silver. Wrap it up, bro. Hi, Taz. Hi, Taz. Bro, you're so nice for this game. Oh, thank you. I just don't give a fuck. Who cares? If you're losing a game, get a fucking life. Get off the game. Who cares? If you go cry about it, who gives a shit if you go cry about the game? Just enjoy the game, what it is. I'm doing well, though, Taz. I do appreciate the compliment. That's a very good compliment, by the way, Hazard. Thank you for the compliment, though. No, I'm so sorry, Dylan. I'm so sorry. I've been doing well, though, Wisma. I'm doing very well, Wisma. I am going to be going to Melbourne next 2 weeks' time. I'll be going to PAX wearing a maid outfit because we raised some money for our foundation. Very, very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. I enjoyed the game, but too much for toxicity. Oh, it can be. Oh, God. It can be so toxic, though. It can be so toxic. Honestly. Seriously, it can be so toxic sometimes. Hey, Danny. Thank you for the look, Danny. One trick pony? Legit, yes. That's all it is. I just enjoy the game. Honestly, the way I feel about that kind of thing, I just enjoy playing Roadhog. That's the only thing I really want to play is Roadhog. I don't like any... Oh my god. Dude, that was so much piss that came out of you. Holy shit, bro. Oh my fucking god. Thank you for the fan request. We'll play after this, bro. If you're down for some games, I'll definitely play with you, bro. I'll play Hazard, but keeps on getting counted. Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality, bro. It sucks, bro. It sucks, bro. Getting counted is not a good feeling. It sucks, bro. Can you guys hear the music, by the way? I love this music. This music's so nice, bro. Music's so good, bro. Did you see that hook on that gosh darn Ana? So close. Hey, thanks for the follow. Is music shit? Hey, Tez, you want to recommend some music for me to listen to see if it's better than one I've got right now? Sigma's almost dead. Sigma's almost dead. No, I can't get healed. Thank you. Oh my god, thank you for the heal. Holy shit, bro. God damn. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, the Genji deflect. Oh, thank you, man. You have to have a good night. Oh, thank you. Appreciate bro. Appreciate, bro. It's all about having good vibes, you know? My first stream back, and I'm just having a good time, having good vibes. It's good, it's good, it's good. It's gonna be yeet. So close on that. God damn, that's fun. Yeah, dancing in the moonlight. Oh god. Oh, Genji. Oh, the Genji got saved. That's insane. Holy shit. Whoa. Let's back off. It's really good, guys. It's fine. It's okay. Oh, Siggy's so close. He's so close dying. So close. Nice. Good shit. Try push in, please, guys. No more May. Oh, so sorry, dude. I hate what I do for people. I make the game look fun for people. I really do. So I really feel bad. Good shit. Good piss, Moira. Good shit, Moira. You are spazzing. That's so funny. Hey, Oranberry! If you don't know Oranberry, I'm actually doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge on a hacked game, and it's fossil Pokemon only. It's gonna be so difficult. I'm very soon I'll be making a new episode very soon. Yeah, dabble, yeah, bro. Yeah, dabble in a Ken Carson, but with chill music. Oh, that's cool, bro. That's cool. We like that. Hey, Tez, I'm waiting for your gosh darn recommendation of a song, by the way, Tez. Oh my god! That hook was insane! That hooey! Oh my god, that hook was crazy. What? Oh god. We're okay. Oh, that's right, that's fine. Thank you. No. Yes, you can say you locked it. Oh my god, bro. But it's trash. Oh my god, that's hilarious. It's not bad music. I don't mind it. I can ult, by the way, in case you need ult. Nice, boys. Well done. We'll walk back a bit. I'm playing comp right now. Yes, I am. I'm playing comp right now, and I'm having the best time ever. It's so fun. You know why I'm having fun? Because I'm hanging out with people that I care about, and it's a fun time. It's good. I like it a lot. I'm having an awesome fun time today. Watch me just fucking crash tomorrow. Fun fact, guys. Tomorrow I'm doing my first job tomorrow. I'm doing training. I'm being a tech salesman. I'm very excited for. Man, recently? Silver? Oh, nice dude, nice dude. Why is this song playing the same song? What the frick? Yeah, it'd be like that, be like that. That's fine, that's fine. Good shit, guys. Well done. We're doing very, very well. Good job. I think Tez is like a wet paper bag, I'm pretty sure. Oh no! Wisma, don't look! No! Oh no! Nice, nice, nice. Now Pickle's gold 2 years ago. That's fine. Gold's good, Tez. If I can get gold, Tez, and beat you to it, I'll be happy with that. Has it behind, has it behind, has it behind. Easy, easy, easy. May. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Hee. May. Thank you. Oh, cool. Has his back, has his back, has his back. Nice, good job, boys. Well done. Diablo skin for Moira? Really? Nice, dude. That's a good skin, too. And also advised me to send Steel Rain, bro. Oh, I'm so sorry about that, bro. That sucks, bro. Gonna lost my money on the person's collab. What's that, dude? What's that, Wisma? Make me want to play. Yeah, Oren, seriously, yeah. If you want to do come on, bro, and play some games, I would greatly appreciate it, bro. It'd be so fun, bro. So close on the hook. Are you actually serious? It is, that's what matters. As long as it's nice, it's fine. Is the co-op skin, yeah? I think I remember it. If I remember correctly. I hope this sound's not too loud, by the way. Let me know if this sounds okay, by the way, too, please, guys. Hehehehe. Nice. I want to know why it's repeating. I don't understand. I'm so sorry, chat. Hehehehe. That was secretly me. Oh my god. You're doing well, bro. You're doing well. Good round, guys. We did very well. Good job, boys. Just win, please. What the frick? What? Why is this song like this? Why is it repeating? Do you know why? Because it's like random shit right here. It's so... I don't know why it's doing this. One second, sorry, chat. This is so slow right now. I don't know what's going on here. That's better, that's better. That's better. Let's do it, boys. Let's do it. Surprising? Yeah, it'd be like that. You found a good hazard? Some hazards can be really broken. You just gotta know the abilities and that kind of shit. Hey, Tez, you missed that llama. Llama was here before, Tez. They were here, but they were very tired from work. They've been working all the week, apparently. I'm sorry. She's a very, very busy gal. She's a very busy llama. Oh, so cute. Aww. Oh, he was so... Yeah, for me, it was Malga. I'm so sorry, mate. I'm so sorry, mate. Now I feel bad I did that. I'm so sorry, mate. Cool. Bastion's gonna be a bit annoying, so we should probably focus on Bastion first, please, guys. Oop. Moira's half, please. Nice, good shit. Oh, shit, shit. Malga. I mean, Hazard. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Just come back, please. Oh, that's fine, dude. Sounds about there, yeah. Oh, has above. Oh, so close. Watch out for Bash Belt. It's very good. Whoop. Yeah, it's regroup. There's too many of them. It's regroup. It's fine. No point. Yay. Good shit, boys. Good shit. That was such a cock tease for them. We literally blue balled the entire team. We almost let them get that. That's crazy. That's alright, bro. Well done for the May. That was a huge ult, by the way, May. And everybody else too. We all did very well too. Watch out for Juno roll, please. Juno. Nice. Oh shit. Oh, nice. Oh my god, the healing. Well done. Thank you. Massive. Thank you. Depends how you handle them, I guess. It very depends. Oh. Oh. Watch out. Nice, good shit. I got very soon. I don't mind you, Wang. I really don't mind them. I don't mind them. They're pretty cool. GG's, boys. Well played. We did very well. Well done. We all played very, very well.
Guys.
Thank you, man. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, I'm leaving. Good one, guys. Bye. That's so embarrassing. Oh my god. I was not expecting to get play of the game. What we feel like doing, by the way, now, I'm getting, I think I could play maybe one more game of Overwatch and I might play something else maybe. I don't know. I'm not feeling 100% on Overwatch at the moment. I don't know, eh? I don't know what I'm feeling like right now. I don't know. It's so bad. Maybe Overwatch, maybe a bit longer, but I don't know. It can be, yeah. You getting the Battle Pass almost finished, dude? Nice. Nice, bro. Oh, we found another game. Awesome. Another game. Another carry skin? Oi, should we, you reckon I should do a spin wheel of random characters I should play? Reckon we should do that, guys? After this, we'll play some quick play. And then I'll do like a spin wheel of random characters. Awesome. You want to join, Dylan? If you want to join. It's up to you though, Dylan. Yeah, that'll be really fun. Yeah. Thought so. Be very, very fun. I would ask Taz for you to join, but you're a loser and decide to uninstall the game. You gotta play him in a certain way, I suppose, but only personally if you're not rubbing. I don't really play other games, Tez, besides Overwatch and other games. I have some other ones, but it depends. It depends what I got installed. This is now I got my job now. It just depends on so many things. You just play Overwatch. I mean, the Roblox. I'm sorry. I want to avoid playing Roblox because of all the issues with all the legal actions with Overwatch stuff. Punishing people for exposing predators on their own platform. I don't like that. I don't think I'll be playing Roblox for a while. I don't think. It's very shitty. You don't do that. It's a while, yeah. That been improving stuff. That's good. That's good to hear. I'm very happy to hear that. That's good. Good luck, have fun, guys. Hope we have a good game. Is the music okay, by the way? Music not too loud? Game not too loud as well, please. Because I have no clue what it's like. Is it perfect? Nice, thank you. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for being the only person to say that. Thank you, Dylan. And the game sound as well. Watch out for Widow and Zenny, please. I got Zaya as well. So close, bro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mercy's up, pretty fun to have. Just so you can actually be able to like actually get revived potentially. Have some good healing. It's really good, it's really good, but it's okay. That's alright. Oh, Lucia, no, Lucia, I'm so sorry, bro. I agree as well, Wims. I agree that 100% as well. No. Are we all trying to push in? Oh no! Oh, massive. Well done. Thank you for that. Huge, huge. That definitely won us the round. Well done, boys. That was good. No way. He wasted his ult. That's so funny. No way. Did one of us just left the game? Push, push, push. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, buddy, let's go. They came back. Cool. We're doing well, guys. People above. No. Zah, no. Nice, well done, well done. Nice, 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 nice. Good shit, good shit, good shit. Nice, Faro. Nice, dude. Soldier. You want playing Mercy yourself? I tend to avoid her lately because of getting called out. Oh, what the frick? What? That's so dumb. People just like making people uncomfortable for the sake of doing it. It's a bit sad, but it's just how it is. People be weird like that. That's okay, that's okay. That's okay. We go over time, it's okay. Oh, no way. Oh, Lucio, Lucio. No! Oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. That's okay, that's okay. I could try and push him maybe to hold up a bit, maybe. Unless we all just come at the exact same time. Might do that, actually. Fuck that. Let's go, let's go, 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 go. Oh my god, who took point? Sim! Sim! Oh my god, no way, Sim! Well done. That was a massive hold. Shout out to the Sim. Good job, bro. No way. Well done. Good round, boys. Well done. The Sim. Seriously, the Sim and Lucio, you guys did so well. That was actually fucking great. Good job. I'm gonna slit. Yeah, you don't fucking say that. That's fucked up. I hope they're bullshitting, because why the fuck would you say that in a video game? I need to invite the guy to my game too as well, I just realized. Well, I'll play random heroes with him as well. Ugh. Oh my god, that hook! That hook is insane, bro. No. Bro, that was devastating. Oh, that's really good. It's fine. That's right. Honestly, if we lose this round, it's not end of the world. It's fine. But we just try our best. That's what matters. I got ult. I got ult. That's alright. The Hanzo right here. Thank you for the hydrate, bro. Thanks for the hydrate. Appreciate it. Oh, nice, nice. We might, maybe. Good round. Good round, boys. I need to accept that guy's friend request. Huzzah. Awesome dancing, bro. Awesome. They're gonna join afterwards. Awesome. Every month I tend to look for art commissions, but next month I have a convention. Oh, do you try and set up money for that? Oh, that'd be expensive as well for conventions. Is it the one that you're gonna go by yourself with that cosplay from that show? Oh, nice. Oh, that's alright. That's alright. Nice, dude. Somebody told me to watch Hazbin the Hotel. I think it was Mantis. I just seen too many stuff of Hazbin Hotel, and I feel like there's not much point in me reacting to it since I've seen so much clips of Hazbin Hotel. I feel like for me to react to something, I have to have nothing knowing anything about it, or some sort of small acknowledgement about it. You commission a wig? What kind of wig would you have to have? I'll be getting my wig very soon for my cosplay as well. That'll be pretty funny. I have like a pink wig, I'm pretty sure. That's alright, that's alright, that's very good. Zaya was almost dead. Oh. Okay. The way I feel, who cares about downplaying the character? You are honestly just cosplaying the character. That's all you're doing. That's what matters. True. That's alright though. There's no need for that though. GG's boys, well played. We played very well. How the fuck did I get play a game again for the third time? Okay, whatever. We did very well, guys. GG's. Who cares? We lost the game. Who cares? Have a good one, boys. Loot box. Loot box time. Loot box. Loot box. Oh, yeah. I didn't mean... It's a bit too early for that, isn't it? A little bit too early. Where is he? He's in a game. I have to wait for him. That's alright. Halloween yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I don't know what I'm gonna do for Halloween. That's my problem. I don't know what's happening for Halloween for myself because I feel like Halloween for me, I got nothing planned for Halloween, which is so sad because I love Halloween. All right. You just want to go to sleep? You just want to go to sleep? I mean, if you want to go to sleep, dude, you can, unless you're having issues. So Ray, who used to be an active streamer, viewer on my stream, they would actually listen to my stream to help them go to bed and sleep. Chat wants to watch you play. I'll wait. Oh my god, bro, stop. We can do both, surely. Oh, it's online right now. Chirp's playing too. Lexi, Hog. Yeah, seriously though, if you do want to try and sleep though. Just listen to me in the background. The best way I can really think of it. If there's any music you like listening to. Oh, I got a vacuum up there, but he just shares screen PS5 PC. Oh, so you basically hearing people. Okay, I like that. I can do that, honestly. Whatever song you like listening to, I can play that right now. And I can just play that non-stop. Like a particular genre, if you like hearing that kind of music. And I can play it and replace it. I don't mind changing it for you, bro. If it helps you sleep, bro. Yeah, like a genre. Like, what kind of genre of music do you like, bro? You should show background as well. My background's weird. Any? Okay, so this song right now, you don't mind. Okay, I get that. I'll change it again. It's the music now. Let's see what this one.
You have just entered into the land of funk.
Even sleep, the JJBA? I don't know what that is. I'm so sorry. I have no clue what kind of music that is. I don't know what that is. I'm so sorry, bro. That's one there. Cool. Name and collect cards. Oh, really? Poison. I don't know what that is. Is that like a particular genre of music or? No one here that I like. Yeah. I'll do a spin wheel afterwards or random heroes I'll play as well. I'll play it in what do you call it? In quick play. Make it easy for people as well. Is a song? Ah, Poison. Okay. I can play that too if you want me to. I don't mind playing that. Alright, hero time. I'm starving, but I can't afford anything. Sorry to hear that, dude. That sucks. If I had extra money, I'll definitely get you something. Like, give you some money, but I can't. I'm so sorry, dude. Yeah, sorry, man. It's so hot in my room right now. Holy shit. Oh my god. The 4th. Jesus, the 4th of October? Why so soon? That sucks. Let me know when you want me to spin the wheel, by the way, guys. I spun a bit of the wheel, so wait for you guys. Every hero on here. Quick play. We'll play the hero. Shea eggs. What's everybody's favorite kind of eggs? I like scrambled. Scrambled eggs are nice. I like scrambled eggs. Let me know when to spin the wheel, and I'll spin the wheel. Scrambled? Scrambled's nice. Spinny spin. Yeah, spinny spin. What are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? What hero are we gonna get? He might be a hero that I might actually enjoy playing. Sunny side? Nice, bro. I'm with Reinhardt! No way! No way, I'm with Reinhardt! I'm Reinhardt! Dude, that's crazy! I'm with Reinhardt! Yo, how are we, boys? How you going, bro? I got this spin wheel, and I'm being a Reinhardt in my spin wheel. It's a random spin wheel. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. How was your game, bro? How was your game?
I got destroyed, absolutely destroyed.
I'm so sorry to hear that, bro. That sucks, bro.
Tank was doing nothing.
Oh, man. Was he trying his best?
No.
Oh, okay, that sucks. I hope his family's on a wanted list.
I think it was the SIG that we played against.
Was it really? Didn't they recognize your name and they're like, I'm just gonna throw this game? What an asshole. What the fuck? What an actual asshole. I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
Are you still playing Road Dogg?
Oh, no, I did a spin wheel. I'm now gonna be Reinhardt. So that'd be funny.
Oh my God.
Yeah, bro. Apparently I'm not that bad on Reinhardt as well. So we'll see how we go. I do feel bad that you lost your game, bro. So this game, I promise you, man. I'll promise we'll get this game, you know? We'll get this game in the bag. Surely. I
just want to get a silver, man. I just want to get a silver.
Dude, I'm struggling to be in silver. I'm like late bronze. Oh, shit. Hey, how are we? How you going? Good luck, have fun. Hope we have a good time with this game today. We will definitely try and win 100%.
We got this.
We got this, boys. That'll be so fun. That was my dream. That was my dream. I want to move back to my home city and move my little brother.
No, it's good for you. You get rid of Wrecking Ball.
Not gonna lie, that's kind of based, to be honest.
I was so happy when that guy was removed from the game for like 2 hours. It was
Yeah,
like
what was up with that? Was that like a glitch or something?
Yeah, it was a glitch. Yeah, everyone was complaining about it. It was just a glitch. Yeah, it was just removed for like 2 hours.
What
I swear to
kind
God,
of
everyone was.
glitch would do that? Good.
I don't know.
Oh, he's back now. That's what matters.
Get rid of him. Get rid of him again.
When they released Wrecking Ball for the first time, I honestly thought it was a joke. It was such a weird release on a hero.
Him and what's her name? The girl with the crossbow.
Oh, Freya.
Freya.
Yeah, she's like non-existent now. Yeah, I have no clue what they're doing with Freya now. I don't know what's going on with her now.
I think she's just too OP.
I think it just depends on the user. That's how I feel. A lot of the majority of it.
If you like if you do the arrow, if you charge up the arrow, it does like half of DPS health. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's all about the combos.
You got a gold gun for everything. Wow.
Oh, these are all for friends. I only get gold guns for friends that I look up to and hang out with. This one's is like there's the Reinhardt hammer. It's for the best Aussie streamer I ever played with. His name's Big Audio One. He is the best guy.
Yeah.
He is amazing. So I got the gold gun for him.
Fair enough.
I highly recommend him. He's an amazing guy.
Wait, what about the Roadhog then? You got a gold gun for him.
Only Galactic. I don't believe in gold gun for Roadhog just yet.
Yeah.
Moira! I got Moira!
Oh, I got him.
I got Moira!
Let's
go, boys! No! I'm so sorry.
Get the hazard.
No! Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, let's go! Let's go! Holy shit! That's actually huge. Lucio here, Lucio. Dude, what will Lucio's taste like, the cereal? Lucio's. A guy above there. There's a guy above there. Was that official? I'm not sure if that was official.
Oh, bro, you nearly just stole that from me.
Oh, sorry about that, bro. It won't happen again.
Oh, fuck.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's alright. Hazard. Hello, Hazard. Hope you're doing well, Hazard.
You talking to me or one of your freaking people?
No, to the Hazard. I like talking to the enemy sometimes. It's funny. Because I haven't seen it for a while. Oh, Hazard!
Oh,
and your name! I'm so sorry! Now I understand your confusion. Oh, I'm so sorry, bro. almost killed himself. What's this guy doing? Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Oh,
yeah, buddy, yeah, buddy, yeah, buddy. Hello, hello. Oh, so close.
Oh my gosh, why do I just absolutely crush when I have you as tank?
It does having a good positive energy and just not giving a fuck. It's a video game. Video games should not be taken seriously. Oh, the Wednesday calls a soldier. Oh my god. It's having a fun time, literally.
Oh, hello.
Yo! Let's go, boys!
Get him?
I got everybody! I got everybody! I got everybody! Yeah. Anyway. That was good, that was fun. Good round, boys, good round.
I just saw you and I was like, I am going to capitalize on that.
I appreciate that, bro. I'll take the inspiration, the energy from the big audio one himself. Hazard, hazard, hazard. No, no hazard. No hazard. No hazard.
That was big.
No hazard. You naughty, naughty boy. Nice.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It'd be like that sometimes.
That wall can kill you?
Oh, did it really? I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, I died. How did I do that to the wall?
No, oh. That's fine, it's fine. They're just stalling, it's fine. We got the round, it's fine. It's okay. So good job, boys.
Are you spinning the wheel like every game?
Yeah, I'm gonna spin the wheel, but like since you joined, I felt bad and I want to win game for you. So next game when we're still in spin wheel, I want to do quick play because I feel like it's throwing. We do like a random person, I have no clue how to fucking play. So I'd rather just do quick play.
Quick play if you want.
Fuck yeah, I can't. Fucking let's do it, bro.
I mean, I gotta get off soon.
That's fine, bro. That's fine, bro.
I have to go to bed.
Oh, dude, not gonna lie. Very soon, I should do the same thing. I got my trial tomorrow. I got a training tomorrow with a new job of mine.
A trial?
Yeah, doing some training.
What, like a footy game or?
No, sorry, like a work trial. Like I'm doing training at a company now. I'm working for now because I got hired recently. First,
cool.
Yeah, first interview, instantly got in the job straight away.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Looking forward to it.
How long have you been playing Overwatch for?
About 4 years. There's a sticky butt brain, by the way.
You've been playing since the beginning?
Almost, practically, yeah. Since 2017, almost.
Oh, they have a Bastion.
That's fine, that's fine. Let them have a Bastion.
Go away, Bastion.
That's fine.
Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
That's fine, dude. It's fine, bro. Just regroup, it's fine. It's okay.
Bastion is dead.
Yeah, at least you got a red Bastion. That's fine. We have our own Bastion anyway, so it'll be an interesting competition. Just be careful, guys. You have no tanks. So please be very, very careful, please, guys. On my way back over.
I'm afraid of the Hanzo is gonna hit like one really good shot.
Just don't let him do it then. Easy.
Think he's dead?
Yep. Fuck yeah. Good shit, man.
Oh, go away.
It's fine. It's fine. Lucio on point. Lucio. Yeah, he's fucked off.
Yeah, dude, I checked their career profile. It's just 120, like 127 Roadhog. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I just prefer playing Roadhog. He's just more enjoyable to play. I just prefer playing Roadhog.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
As a soldier from like day one, Roadhog is like the scariest player for me.
Oh, really? I'm so sorry. All the hooks and the bullshit shots.
Bro, if you like day one of Overwatch, like playing soldier, you just die instantly to a Roadhog hook.
It'd be like that, unfortunately.
No
sorry about
happens.
that.
Oh,
As a Roadhog main, I'm so
no
sorry,
way.
bro. Yay! We did it! We did it! Yay! Good shit. Good job, Juno, on the blue shirt. Good job, Juno. That was good.
Yeah, absolutely crushing at the moment.
Yeah, we're having a good time. Let's play the game. Go back here, Lucio, please. You're a bit low, please, Lucio. No, Lucio! No, Lucio! Oh shit, hello. Let's let him take it. Just let him take it, it's fine. They're gonna use our ults to take that back to point anyway, it's fine. Just regroup.
I know when Bastion ults, if you just point your shield to the sky, you can just block every single hit.
Not gonna lie, I think I remember seeing that or hearing that, and I just completely forgot about that. I probably will do that for sure next time though. Thank you though.
Yeah, it's kind of broken.
It's
And
very broken.
you'll keep the whole shield too. It won't like
Wait, really? That's actually huge. What?
So if you hear him do it, what you gotta do is just put your shield up and you'll just block the whole thing.
Oh my god, that's funny as fuck actually. Oh, there goes Zaya. Isn't Reinhardt Zaya's counter? What a silly Billy. They're all doing fine as Sigma. What the hell? They just... Why would they do that?
What?
I'm pretty sure they're doing better as Sigma, so why are they being Zaya? Okay, that's good choice.
Because everyone's targeting, so if you just get Zarya, you can just
I'll
absorb
be
all
doing
their
that as well.
bullets and just do
I'll be doing the same
crazy
thing,
damage.
yeah. Oh god, yeah, that was my mistake.
Get back, get back,
I
get
got
back,
booed
get
back
back,
in.
get
They know how to get me back in. Oh
there's-
shit! How did I survive that? Oh my god. How did I survive that? What the frick? Who's
alive?
behind
What the
us?
fuck?
There's a loose here, by the way.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm so dead.
No. No, that's fine. Just regroup.
Oh,
Yeah,
Zarya's
that's fine. Just gotta take them off and we get the point. It's fine. I got ult for next round anyway. Let them take it. It's fine. It's okay. I got ult. It's all good. Passionate, watch out.
I am gonna change to I'm gonna go Hunter.
Let me know when to go in and ult because I can ult very soon.
I don't have my ult, so just do it whenever you want.
Okay.
Go for the Zarya.
I might die, yeah, that's my issue, yeah, I might die. Oh, that's alright. Alright, good round.
Did you die to
Good round.
Zarya?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, hello. Zarya.
Good next round anyway.
Oh.
It's fine, we got next round. It's fine, who cares we lost this round? It's fine. People tend to speed rush this stuff, who cares? You literally got another round. It's okay, it's fine.
And then the only way they capped is when they had to use like all their ults, so it's alright.
It's a very normal tactic, that's normal. People tend to use all their ults in order to capitalize on their play call. It's fun. It's okay. I'm not gonna associate that with that. Who left the game?
Dude, why are people just leaving our games? Are we doing that good?
I don't know, eh? I think they just don't want to be bothered.
They're checking your career profile and seeing your silver.
Honestly, the way I feel, career profiles mean absolutely nothing if you're casual about the game. People should not be intimidated by my Roadhog play or my time, because that's literally nothing, because I have not been playing Overwatch that much anymore. So, it's nothing. Yeah, that kind of numbers mean absolutely nothing to me.
Freaking bubble goes up every 2 seconds.
It'd be like that. They're dead anyway, so it's fine. That's okay. No, oh, good boot, bro. Good boot. Holy shit. That was good. What the fuck?
Go for the boop.
Mm-hmm.
The one time you should down. Oh, hello. Yeah, Lucio's just trying to bait everyone in.
It'd be like that. This is how it is, unfortunately. It's easy as well. Just don't fall for it. Easy. Just don't fall for it.
Oh, hello. Oh, you lucky.
That's alright.
Try not to swear because I know you're streaming.
Oh, I don't care if you swear, cunt. It's fine, bro. It's okay, bro. It's fine. I appreciate though. Nah,
it's all good.
Very, very nice of you thinking like that, bro. That's actually very nice, bro. Very considerate. I got ult at
How long have you been
60.
streaming for?
Oh, about 3 years, give or take.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That bloody Bastion is just destroyed.
It's okay. He's dead, it's fine. He's got the Lucio we have to worry about. Yeah, that's fine.
My god. Yeah. No, I need that Bastion.
Lucio was almost dead, which is fine. You gonna catch it back or? Oh my goodness! No! Oh, let's go! We got it back, boys! Let's go! Nice. Good shit. Well done. Nice. I got ult anyway. Rip the Lucio down.
Oh, shield, please give me a shield.
Yeah. Do you know where they are?
Oh,
or?
don't go in there. I have ult. Do you have ult?
I got ult, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh god. Sure.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Well done, bro.
You literally just killed him with your ult. What the fuck?
I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry, dude. Hey, Juno. Hi, Juno. Hi, Juno. I see you, Juno. Yes, I see you. Hello. We're doing very well. The healers are doing fantastic. Our healers, well done, everybody. Speaking of Juno, bro, he's scaring me. Just got to make sure Lucio is not here anymore. No, bruh. Nice.
You got him.
Maybe.
Ooh,
no, it's okay. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh, they bloody.
That's okay. That's fine. That's okay. 69. That's pretty good. 70 out. We got another fight. It's okay. We got a break coming up, guys. I'm sorry. We got a break and ad right now. Oh. Alright, I'm here. Oh! Did that work? I don't know if that worked or not. I can't tell.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Oh my god!
Oh, dude, you're ready to go off.
almost did, actually, almost did.
I got the thing now,
Oh, thank you. That's alright. Thank you. That's fine. No way. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, bro. That's fine. That's okay. Next fight. Oh, thank you. Nice. Oh yeah, that's a very strong portal for the actual Xayah. Very strong. Nice, bro. What's this perspective I'm looking at? I was looking like a third person, like a spectator of the whole map. That was so weird. If we be able to hold it in, I've got ult.
No.
Nice. Lucio. Oh, good shit, Juno. Oh my god, Juno. You just saved the game, Juno. Well done, Juno. Holy moly. Good job, Juno. Holy shit, bro. That was being like the biggest issue for us right now.
That is too nice, though.
I get that. I got ult. Let's go wait.
Oh, they've got a Winston. They've changed to a Winston now.
Well, loser. Why'd they do that to themselves? Oh!
I have ult if you want to pop yours.
Yep. No. Guys, boys, well done. They literally see 9. While they do that, the Bash have ulted on the actual point. Well done, though. Well done.
Did we win?
Yeah, we did. We won. I'm so sorry. I slowly played the game. I am so sorry, bro.
Oh no, this one's all yours. Yeah, this one's all yours.
Holy! Oh, that's such a disgusting! Oh,
bro,
that was so good. Okay. That was sick. Oh my god, that was huge! Did you see that? That was so cool. Oh my god, that was sick. Oh, my mouth's so sore from smiling. That was sick. Oh, that was so cool. Oh, you did good, by the way, bro. You did really good, bro. You did well, bro. I'm sorry I slowly played the game, bro. You set it up as well. You set it up too. I feel so bad. Oh, I appreciate it, bro. So, we want to do quick play and we want to do spin wheel. Is that the plan? Fuck yeah, fuck yeah. Alright, so since...
Spin wheel for me.
I was gonna say, you wanna go first actually? You wanna go first, bro? Alright, 3, 2, 1, spin! Let's see what you get, let's see what you get. And remember, it is just quick play. Any character is fine, having a fun time. Oh god. Oh, you're Anna! Oh my god.
I'm Anna. No, that's alright, that's alright. I can play Anna.
Really?
I can play Anna. That's
No,
true.
okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
I like
good.
playing
Okay.
Anna. I love putting people to sleep.
Dude, I like doing that permanently. Awesome. I love that. I love that. What the fuck?
Who'd you get? Who'd you get?
Mine's glitching a bit. Let's see what I'm not even gonna look. I'm not even gonna look until it reveals it. Venture! Oh, I know a buddy of mine who likes playing Venture. Yeah, that's cool. That's alright.
Venture.
Venture is the LGBTQ character that goes by they them, and they like rocks and have a drill. I have no clue how to play them. Oh my god, I have no clue how to play them. Oh yeah, no, them, yeah.
God.
The
I don't think I've ever played that girl.
Really? Oh, it'd be like that. It'd be like that. I need to practice like one thing.
Let me actually check. Yeah, no, I've never played her. Not a single minute.
Okay. So Venture, what skin do I have for them? Oh, I've got like the basic skin. I'm about to change it when we play quick play.
Yeah, you haven't even gotten a skin.
No, I don't think I do actually. Oh my god, I got the gold gun for Venture. I forgot.
You got a gold gun for Venture. You're kidding me.
It's for a friend. A friend of mine has it. Oh, hey, Doomfist. Hi, Doomfist. Yeah, well, sorry, what? What's up?
You have too many competitive points.
I do, yeah. I'll probably stream in like maybe like another 20 minutes. Yeah, it's my friend. It's my friend Ricepin. He like plays Venture. That's their main. And I decided to get a gold gun for them.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, probably when you head off, I might head off at the exact same time too, because I do have work tomorrow at I think it's at 8, I'm pretty sure. Hello. Hello. What's my I got pineapple on pizza.
What the hell? How did you do that?
It's
Bro, you have
it's a souvenir.
too many competitive points if you got a gold gun for a character you've never played.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I actually prefer playing competitive than quick play. I think quick play is far too stressful. Not stressful, but like it's too sweaty. It's not enjoyable. It just sucks. I really don't like
true.
it. I don't like it.
There are a lot of sweats on quick play.
It's because the ranking is a lot more
I've only
open.
got a gold gun for soldier, and that's it.
That's good, man, because you like playing soldier. That's good, bro. That's awesome. If that hit me with the slap, that would be funny as fuck if you hit me with that slap. Is it, oh, hang on. Will it actually work if we do it? Like, yeah, try here.
Dart.
Yeah, the dart. It will hit me.
I don't know if the speed that comes back down.
Oh, it'd be funny if it did though. It'd be funny. Oh, I didn't mean hit you. I didn't mean hit you. I'm so sorry. Stop it! Stop it!
Okay.
Stop it!
I'm missing every shot. Okay, I got it.
Oh, thank you. Can I have some healing, please? Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, cool.
I got
I'm
you.
sleeping.
Just taking a nap.
Literally, yeah.
I'm off after this game then.
Oh yeah, I'll raid off to somebody. Yeah. No. If you're gonna head off, I'll head off as well. My chat's kind of dead now, so I got locust probably. So I might just head off and just to raid somebody else, and I'll head off.
Are you in Australia?
Yeah, I'm in Australia. Yeah. I'm in Queensland, bro. I'm in Queensland. Oh, Acklenworld. Let's go. Venture and Acklenworld. Let's go. Holy shit. Right. See how we go. I'm nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous for playing Venture. I don't know. Oh my god. What skins?
I
got
actually love
8
playing
bits.
Ana. If you just go a full game with just sleeping people, you just get like the angriest messages.
Oh, that's funny as hell. Really showing and exposing how sad they are. I got a gold gun. I got a gold skin for Venture, and I don't even know what this is. Look at this, bro. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? What the fuck? Let's get a team chat. Hello. Hey boys, how are we today? What kind of skin is this skin? What the frick?
That's weird.
It's a weird skin. Oh, that's fine. Oh my god, Zai, you're so much taller than I expected. Holy shit. Oh wait, really?
I'm a pirate.
Oh, sick, dude. You like One Piece?
I do like One Piece.
Fuck yeah, man. I was like the fun for you.
You like One Piece?
I love One Piece. I read like the latest chapter a few days ago. It was really good.
Oh,
What's
do
a
you read
flash
it?
bang?
Nah, I can't read it.
Sorry,
I can't
man.
read it.
Oh, no, no,
I
it's
have to
fine.
watch the anime.
Oh, that's fine, bro. That's fine, bro. That's okay. Nothing wrong
I'm like
with
that
bro.
for like every anime out there. Oh,
Bad
someone said a
message.
What was it?
Oh, suck your mum. How is
suck
that
your mum
a bad
stuff.
message? That's my mum all the time. Like, why the fuck is that a thing? I suck my mum's thumb all the time. How's that bad? What's wrong with me?
One of us?
Oh no! No! Oh no!
Oh my god, Venture, do something. Another possible bad
I want to get rid of this, dude. Okay, so there is
sucks more than my thumbs.
Dude, that has to be a thing they're intentionally doing because I don't know why, but I feel that they are doing it on purpose. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. I'll be happy with like with 2 kills.
Got you, I got you. Rush, 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 rush.
I'm rushing, I'm rushing. Holy shit.
Oh my gosh, Venture throwing.
It's my first day today, I'm sorry guys. What's a combo? Like a shift underground and spin, spin for left click. Okay.
Go Zarya, go, I got you, I got you. Go Zarya, push, push,
Push, push, guys, push, 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 push. Get you behind, by the way. Junkrat, be careful, please. Oh, Genji's here. Genji, 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 Genji. Oh my god, I got a kill. Oh my god. As soon as I got a kill, I died. As soon as I got 1 kill, I died. That's crazy. Oh my god. Riptide for Junkrat.
Oh, Genji. Genji. Genji, no!
Oh! Harder throwing. I only got killed by a Genji blade.
I tried to sleep, but I just didn't have it.
And just lay down. Why are you sitting? Lay down if you want to go to sleep, bro. You're trying to sleep.
I tried to sleep like Genji.
Oh god. Thank you, Moira. Thank you, Moira. Oh! There's a trap here! Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Oh, get him.
My
Get
god,
him.
thank you.
Get him.
Oh my god, I got a kill, bro. I got a kill. Oh my god.
got a kill.
I got 2 kills. Let's go.
How am I doing better than you? How am I doing better than you? I'm a support.
Who cares? It's funny. Who cares? It's funny. I got ult.
And she's got a gold gun and they're throwing.
It'd be like that sometimes. Welcome to Overwatch. OCE especially. What the hell? Oh.
OCE, so yeah.
No. What does this ult even do?
Oh,
I just ulted, but I didn't even know what it was doing.
I got the Genji with the nano.
Oh, good shit, man. Well done. Hey, good shit, Junkrat, with Riptide on the Mercy. Good shit. Hey, nice. Good job. That's probably play the game. That is never play the game. Good shit, Junkrat. Nice, bro. Nice.
Genji. Anybody want a sweet treat?
What? Sweet treat? Oh, hello.
Oh, I'm fucking emote.
That's alright. Good sleep, bro. Oh my god, you slept him and I killed them. Good shit.
Yeah.
There's a guy above.
I tried to heal you.
That's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what they were. I one time hooked a character off that balcony before where that Freya was, and I screamed. So cool. Oh no. Okay. Venture feels so slow. I don't know why.
You got that dig ability.
Yeah, but it still feels a bit sluggish. I don't know why. Yo, Winnie! How are you, Winnie? How are you, bro? This is my last game. I'm so sorry, bro. My last game. I got training tomorrow. I got a new job starting tomorrow. If you want to, you can choose who I can raid to, and we could be able to hang out there if you want to, bro.
I just melee the Mercy.
Good shit, bro. I should do that too. I forgot meleeing's a thing for me.
Another one.
Oh, good shit, man. Hope you're doing well, bro, Win. Hope you're doing well, Win.
You actually chose me a good character. I'm actually popping off right now.
That wasn't me I chose. It was spin the wheel.
The wheel was in my favor.
Spin the wheel definitely was. It was against me too. What do you mean, bro?
I love the wheel.
Get
him.
Oh, no way. No way. Oh shit.
I mean, don't waste.
I'll try my very best not to, Sensei. Oh.
Need to put someone else to sleep. Who else wants to sleep?
Me. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, bro. Oh my god, thank you for the bubble. That bubble's huge. That was meant to be for me. I could see that, bro. That's alright. That's alright. At least you're doing okay, bro. That's good, man. But yeah, let me know who do you want me to raid to, and we'll raid to them afterwards when I finish my stream.
I know them all.
That's okay. That's okay,
Another
bro.
sleep.
Nice. Hopefully it's not too late for you, Win. Hopefully it's not too late for you, bro. Man, my latency's spiking on you right now. Oh shit, oh shit. Potential. Oh yeah, oh. Come on, no. Mercy.
Oh, I missed it.
I'm lagging heavily. I'm 100 latency right now. What? Bro. Mercy!
Oh, I slept him.
No way! Really? Good shit, man.
Big sleep.
No way, bro. No way! What the freak? I just killed everybody. What? Oh my god! GG's, well played, boys. I was not expecting that
Got
last
14
thing.
kills as Arno. What the fuck? I got the most kills as Arno. What the hell?
Good shit, man. Hey, nice, gassy.
Wrestling with some intense views.
Saying
life,
GG's
but
easy.
thank you for playing.
GG's easy. It's like a default thing they did. Well done. We did very well, everybody. Good game, guys. Good game, boys. Good game. I'll wrestle with you. Oh my god. That was fun as fuck, bro. I like Spin Wheel. Spin Wheel makes it all the fun and silly. I like that. It's great. Alright.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna get spin wheel for myself.
you spin wheel.
I'm gonna hop off, mate. But you can keep playing if you want.
Oh, no, I'm heading off as well, bro. If you head off, I'm heading off too, because I do have an early
Alright.
thing tomorrow for my training tomorrow. Good to meet you, bro.
Fair enough.
Hope you have a good night.
Yeah.
And hope you have a good day
Maybe we'll
tomorrow as
play
well.
again sometime.
Maybe. I'm streaming again on Friday, and I might be playing some Overwatch, maybe with my community, maybe. We'll see how we go, though. But yeah, lovely meeting you, bro. Hope you have a good night, bro. Hope you have a good week, dude.
You too.
Bye. Hope you
later,
going,
mate.
bro. See ya. What a nice guy. What a nice guy. Who's raiding right now? What a nice guy. Who we have on the Twitch stream now? What a nice guy. Win, hope you're doing well, Win. But we're going to be ending stream very, very soon. I might raid Danny, actually. Yeah, I might raid Danny. Who else is here? Oh, we got Nebula. Oh, nah. Oh, we'll raid Rain. We'll raid Rainy. Hey, Mr. Sniffer. That's all good. Well, I'm heading. I'm gonna be raiding off to a mate of mine. Raid off to Rain. But thank you though. Appreciate Win for you being here, bro. Have a good one, bro. If you want to say hello to Rain, they playing Dead by Daylight right now, and they're the most funniest cunt ever. They're funny as hell. They're very, very funny. So have a good one, everybody. Whoever's here, whoever is lurking, thank you for being here. And it's good to be back on streaming. I appreciate all the support everybody was here. Mantis, thank you for the sub as well. Appreciate that. Fat Lyle for being here and following me again. Vinyl, the crazy appearance of Vinyl again. So thank you for everybody who's been here. I'll see you guys on Friday, and we'll be heading off now. If you watch this on the VOD, thank you for watching my VOD right now on YouTube on hooksniffer. I appreciate that. And as always, thank you so much for watching this stream. It's been great to be streaming and hanging out with everybody again. We met a new friend. He was a very nice guy, actually. Very, very chilled guy. Have a good one, everybody. Hope you have a good night. And thank you so much for checking out the stream. And we'll check out the Rainy right now. Have a good one. And I'll see you on Friday. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.